Staged and ready to support local law enforcement and maintain public safety after yesterday's shooting involving ICE agents in Minneapolis. Earlier, the governor called for protests to be peaceful.
The way that we don't win and the way that we lose, if this turns towards violence and allows them to escalate. It cannot happen.
And Wall says the state must play a role in investigating the shooting after the Justice Department moved to keep it in federal hands. The shooting killed 37-year-old Renee Good. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says Good was using her SUV as a weapon, aiming at ICE officers, and the officer acted in self-defense. On Capitol Hill.
On this vote, the yeas are 230, the nays are 196. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
17 Republicans voting with Democrats to extend Obamacare subsidies for 3 years. It next goes to the Senate, and House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries called out Senate Majority Leader John Thune, saying he needs to stop playing procedural games.
We know that a majority of senators are already on record supporting a straightforward extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Ahead of the vote, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimated the bill would increase the nation's deficit by about $80.6 million over the next decade. A judge has disqualified a federal prosecutor from overseeing investigations into New York Attorney General Letitia James, saying he's not lawfully serving as an acting U.S. attorney. On Wall Street, the major indexes ended the day mixed. The Dow gained 270, the Nasdaq lost 104, the S&P up a fraction. Stocks of defense contractors like Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin rallied after President Trump said he wants to increase defense spending. America's listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastway, 33 BU Seattle.
Coach! The yellow light!
God, I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here on Seattle Red, 770 AM. We are streaming on the Seattle Red app, online at seattlered.com. We got a whole lot to get to, including the latest really bad faith attack by a Democrat from Washington against Donald Trump on Venezuela. But first, it turns out there's an investigation that started long ago auditing any potential fraud here in Washington state. But can we actually get some honest answers? That's what's trending, brought to you by Legacy Group Capital, Common Sense Lending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
There's a little bit of a, I don't know if we can call it yet, self-imposed problem in an investigation into the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. That's DCYF. This is the agency that oversees or would oversee any kind of daycare center issue in Washington state. And the problem I have with a lot of the Democrat talking points in the aftermath of the investigation into the fraud in Minnesota and then claims here in Washington state that we could be potentially facing just as bad fraud. The problem I have with a lot of the way they've talked about it, it makes it impossible for people to trust any investigation or audit into DCYF, because if they find absolutely nothing, they might have literally found absolutely nothing. But the way they talk about, even asking questions about fraud makes it seem like they're trying to hide something, that they're not interested in finding the truth at all. The question is asked, or the question is raised about whether or not there is fraud, or there could be fraud, there might be fraud, there likely is fraud, whatever it is. And their response is, how dare you even ask that question? You're a bigot. You're only doing that because you're othering the daycare center operators. And so in that context, if they come out and say, we did this audit of $770 million in a child care subsidy program that's managed by DCYF, we found absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever. Well, there's going to be someone out there who might reasonably say, well, I don't trust you. You just said even asking a question about looking into fraud is racist somehow and wrong. Right? And that's not the auditor's fault, Pat McCarthy. It's not her fault. She's not the one who engaged, at least that I've seen, in that kind of rhetoric in response to concerns over the subsidies that are out there. But the Democrats did that. And on the other hand, she might do this investigation, find literally nothing. And I understand why someone might not trust it. That's the system that they created because of the way that they talk about things. And what drives me nuts, Chris Daniels, I believe it was, talked to Katie Wilson, the mayor of Seattle, about this. And, I will say, to be clear, this is not a Katie Wilson issue. This is not any mayor's issue, generally speaking, right? This is a DCYF, has nothing to do with any city. So it's no more Katie Wilson's doing or fault or within her interest than it is, Dana Ralph, right? That's just not how it works. But the way she's talking about this, we've got allegations of potential fraud, certainly some suspicious activities that I think a reasonable person would say, I'm going to this daycare center to see if they're legit, and it's blacked out. There's no kids going in and out. I've been camped out here for the last week. Okay, that's suspicious. Maybe they're closed for the week. I don't know, but it's certainly suspicious. And instead of acknowledging that it's important to do these kinds of investigations, what do we get from Katie Wilson saying that she's going to be working to protect the providers from the people investigating the fraud?
What have you done in those regards?
Yeah, so we're working on that. So we have conversations going on with the departments. And yeah, it's just, I don't think it needs to be explained why it's problematic to have random people showing up to daycares. And I think the fear in the Somali community is real. The fear in immigrant communities are real. So we're taking that very seriously.
So nothing to be said about the potential fraud. It's just about the identity of the daycare providers. And I love this idea that, it's very problematic, obviously, for someone to show up and do an investigation into fraud. That's what your point is? So reporters are going out there and they're doing the investigations, and that's problematic. Why is that problematic? Is it problematic when reporters go to City Hall? Was it problematic for Chris Daniels to be there? Asking his questions with his weird voice? That kind of hurts my throat just thinking about.
You really won't let that go. You just love.
You won't let it go either. Don't give me that.
No, I usually give him flack for his suit not being the right size.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. He's wearing the same suit he bought in 1984 for high school prom or whatever.
Look, honey, they still fit.
It's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But this idea that it's problematic. It's not problematic. They just don't like, and it's not just Katie Wilson who's saying this. It's problematic when you don't like the journalists going down there. And yeah, I think that independent journalists are still journalists, even if they're conservative. And sometimes they're not even conservative. They're just doing things that more, quote unquote, mainstream TV journalists are unwilling to do. If Chris Daniels went down to check out one of these suspicious daycare providers, would she hold the same position? And by the way, why isn't he going down and doing that? Or others? I'm talking more generally. I don't know if he specifically is doing that. And to his credit, he's been asking these questions. But she says the claims of fraud are just coming from places of xenophobia, not the fact that we have actual documented fraud coming out of Minnesota that truly started this conversation.
Have you asked anyone to follow up on the fraud claims either to the Department of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs or SPD?
No.
So as far as you're concerned right now, there's no reason to suggest there's any sort of fraud.
This whole issue is not really about fraud, right? It's about dividing and conquering. It's about making an immigrant community a target.
Oh, this is a talking point from the left that's just delivered in bad faith or just delivered in ignorance. Because We do. I mean, she knows that there's actual fraud going on in Minnesota to the point where dozens and dozens and dozens of people, because of potentially billions of dollars being stolen or misused, they've been convicted, going to jail, and have gone to jail. Like, she knows that that's an actual story, right? Was that all fake? Was all of that fake? They were just targeting people and got lucky that they had committed fraud? The Somali community, known for decades, conservatives targeting them for allegations of fraud. That's what. Can we all acknowledge? And I think two things can be true at once. Number one, I think there are some people who make assumptions about fraud simply because there happens to be a Somali daycare center owner here in Washington. I believe that. I think some people are just making that jump because of what they saw in Minnesota, and that's wrong. At the same time, there was a ton of Somali fraudsters in Minnesota, and there's some suspicious behavior and actions here in Washington state. Both of those statements are true at the exact same time. Both of those statements are true. And she is ignoring one of them because it doesn't help her political cause. Because it doesn't lean into the talking points that she wants to push out there.
Right? There's no reason to assume, based on the identity of a daycare operator, that their small business is doing anything wrong.
Agreed. I don't think there's a reason to assume, based on the identity of the daycare provider, that nothing was done wrong, which is her position. She's taking the exact opposite position, which is equally wrong. A daycare owner who's Somali does not mean that they are committing fraud. A daycare owner who's Somali does not mean they are free from fraud. Both statements, again, are true, but she's only taking one position. And again, not to pick on her, because she's not the only one saying this. She's just the only one who did the interview about this that we have. There are other Democrats who are taking that exact same position. It is equally wrong. It is an equally wrong position, period. End of story. By the way, remember when everything was locked down during COVID, including childcare centers, and you weren't driving around? Well, missing regular maintenance, taking that car in to get an oil change, might have wrecked your vehicle's warranty. So the Sunset Auto family is offering warranty health checks absolutely free. And if your coverage is shaky, they can get you out of that car or truck and into something better with warranty protection for life. SunsetAutofamily.com. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? International.
You know what you use during an oil change?
What?
Oil.
Oh, okay.
Sweet, sweet Venezuelan oil, perhaps. Moving forward, it sounds like that's exactly what we're going to be using. And people who are taking advantage of, well, ignorant people on this topic are really leaning into this whole thing is about oil. We got rid of Maduro because of oil. We're not getting rid of the president of Colombia, who has a ton of oil there and is just as much a threat from a global standpoint, I suppose, as Maduro in Venezuela. We're not going after Brazilian oil. We're not going after Russian oil. Did you remember they have oil?
Russia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do, yeah.
Yeah. And wouldn't we, if we were just interested in going after oil, wouldn't we then militarily get more involved in Russia, which is what Democrats have been pushing us to do, but we haven't?
One would think.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there,
or
right?
Iran.
Okay, you and your added pesky facts that get in the way of the Democratic talking point. Again, they're saying the only reason we went after Venezuela was for the oil. That's what Democrats are saying. And yet, we're not going after Iran. We're not going after Russia, both of which we could take. It's a little bit more complicated with Russia, but it's not that complicated with Iran, honestly, especially because we got Israel on our side as well. And frankly, I think we'd probably bring in Jordan. But pushing that aside, this is what they're claiming. And the president is obviously talking about oil. It'd be disingenuous for him to not bring up oil in all of this. But listen to Congressman Adam Smith. He was on our sister station, Kyer News Radio, and he's making the claim that this had nothing to do, truly to do, with going after a narco-terrorist who's responsible for killing Adam Smith's constituents in Seattle, Bellevue. This is all just about oil.
In the immediate aftermath of this, he said, we are running Venezuela, and they need to give us their oil.
It's not quite a direct quote, but okay, continue, please.
Okay, that was his message. Uh-huh. At the same time, you have legitimate opposition leaders. You have, I'm forgetting the guy's name now, who won the election in 2024.
John, his name is, it's John. It's John.
Maduro stole. And then you have Maria Machado, who was barred from running in that election. She is the real leader of the opposition, who just won the Nobel Peace Prize. And Trump pushed both of them aside.
That's so disingenuous, but we'll get back to that.
And now we have in power, basically the Maduro regime is still in power. And we appear to...
Which, by the way, is weird because y'all said this was a regime change, right? But now they're at least admitting that the same regime is in charge. But continue.
Be focused on cutting a deal to get Venezuela's oil, which we're well on the way to doing. But removing Maduro and putting his underlings in power just so they will give us their oil doesn't help Venezuela.
Oh, that is such a bad faith argument. It hurts what's left of my soul to hear a truly bad faith argument by someone who's smart, including smart enough to know that most people aren't following this all that closely, and they might listen to that and say, oh, well, okay, actually, that does make sense. I mean, he did allow the same underlings to take over. So actually what happened in the leadership right now is the proof that this wasn't a regime change, which is what happens when the president is gone.
His successor, vice president, steps in his place.
Well, it's so weird. And so, in other words, we allowed the Venezuelan political process to move forward. Oh, he threw away that guy whose name I forgot, and Machado, whose name I did not forget. He just threw him under the bus. No, what he did was allow the Venezuelan government to continue to function the way it is supposed to function. If he pushed in Machado, or the guy who Adam Smith forgot, that would be regime change. That would be literal regime change, which is precisely what you originally said you were opposed to. So stop this nonsense. Number two, we are not going after Venezuela oil for the benefit of the United States. We're going after Venezuelan oil in the context of keeping it away from our adversaries, which include China and Russia and, frankly, Cuba. But really, this is about Russia and China. That's what this is about.
Iran to a certain extent.
Iran, to a certain extent, but not nearly as big of an extent. I think China is actually the bigger one, and then Russia. But yes, Iran, Cuba also plays a role. But we have this thing called the Western Hemisphere?
Hemisphere.
The hemisphere?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's our half of the globe.
Oh, is that what that meant? Okay. And China, Russia, are they in the Western Hemisphere?
No, they're in the Eastern Hemisphere.
Okay, so the other one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like Eastern and Western Washington. Let me think. Okay, so we don't want the Western what is it?
Hemisphere.
Hemisphere. We don't want it to be influenced by our enemies in the Eastern Hemisphere, because then they would be growing their influence outside of their half of the globe, right? You following?
Monroe Doctrine.
Yes.
Or the Donroe Doctrine.
I like that one a little bit more, actually. But that's all that this is about. Why is China exerting influence, or Russia exerting influence, in our neck of the woods? Is that good for us? No, of course not. It is bad for us. We prefer that not happen. And that's what this is about. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Marco Rubio over the weekend. It was either, who's the dumber one? Margaret Brennan says, why do we need Venezuelan oil? He's like, we don't need Venezuelan oil. And by the way, we don't need Venezuelan oil. We have opened and will continue to open up domestic oil production here in the United States. It was Biden who didn't want that to happen. This president wants it to happen. We don't need Venezuelan oil. We have our own oil. We don't want oil coming from the Western Hemisphere to help our enemies in the Eastern Hemisphere. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. And that they're pretending not to understand that, to take advantage of people, to gin up anger, is pretty disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting. And then, of course, he blames this country that Maduro and Hugo Chavez coming into power in the first place.
Broader message where Trump talks about how, well, we should take Panama, we should take Colombia, we should take Cuba, we should take Greenland, we should annex Canada. That message of Western might makes right imperialism undermines the rule of law, not just in Latin America, but across the world. And also, it kind of empowers our adversaries, because what brought Chavez and Castro, for that matter, to power was Western imperialism, and the fact that we were actively involved down there and created economies that left masses of people in poverty. They were desperate for an alternative. So they turned to what turned out to be a horrible alternative, which was Castro and Chavez. Now here we are walking back in, restarting that cycle, instead of coming back in and saying, we have a plan to help Latin America build a better broad-based economy.
That's quite literally what it is we're doing right now. We do have a plan. We're implementing the plan. You're pretending the plan doesn't exist, and then you're complaining about the plan that you say you want. Again, this is remarkably bad faith, and then it involves the whole stupid line of how, this is just going to invite and legitimize our adversaries invading other countries, because up until this moment, they chose not to invade anything, except in cases where they did, because we didn't do anything.
But prior to World War II, basically, this was sort of the way the world worked. Might made right. The cliched line from foreign policy experts was, the strong take what they can, the weak suffer what they must. There's no rule of law. There's no sovereignty. The more powerful countries take what they want and do what they want. And that led to a whole series of world wars, the last one of which very nearly exterminated the planet.
Is he talking about the third one that started when Iran was bombed? They said that was going to be or no? We didn't get to that point, right?
No.
Okay. Well, don't look at me like that. I get lost in all of their talking points.
So when it ended, we were like, maybe we should try something different. So we put in place sovereignty as a cornerstone principle, and also international institutions.
What does this have to do with sovereignty? He was not a legitimate leader. He did not win the election. He was a literal dictator. And again, remember, the party that's taking this position now, last year, the year before that, the year before that, and the year before that was saying, we got to take out Putin. We got to take out Vladimir Putin. We guys got to be removed from power. We got to take him out. We got to get involved more militarily. We got to give more weapons to Ukraine so he can finally, Zelensky, so he can finally take out Vladimir Putin. Is that okay still or no? And again, he's saying, you got to work with these people. Donald Trump meets with Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il. What happened there? That was bad, though, right? What should we have done then?
I don't know. It's confusing.
It is very confusing. Now, the reality is, when dealing with any of these countries, a response, a reaction, how we interact is going to be different country to country, right? There'll be some similarities, but sometimes there'll be not. What works here doesn't work there. The reason why we talk with Vladimir Putin is because of the geopolitical realities and the power of dealing with a crazy person who has nukes, who could very easily destroy Ukraine if he wanted to get to the point of using a nuke. He's smart enough, we hope, not to do something like that. But as Zelensky has said many times, and this is why the power dynamics with Ukraine, Russia are so much different than with us in Venezuela, is Zelensky with Brett Baer 2 weeks ago, his big interview after their meeting said, we cannot win without the United States. We cannot win without the United States. He didn't say we can't not win without Poland. We can't win without Finland. We can't win without Germany. He said we can't win without the United States. And for that, for a president who's not looking to get into a war, that matters. That has a little bit of a leverage point. We know that it's really confusing to try to deal with all of this and figure out where Putin stands. And Putin, to his, from his perspective, he's not going to want to give up anything. He's a madman too. He's also a dictator, different kind of dictator, but he's also a dictator. So in that case, because of the military might of Russia and their nukes, we have different relationships there. Venezuela doesn't pose any kind of military threat to us. They're not a superpower. In that particular region, the only real military threat, and I use threat in the lightest possible way, is Brazil, because they have an actual military that has some might. But even Colombia doesn't really. They have some expertise in the context of they're dangerous and violent, not necessarily well trained, but in the context of being, narco-terrorist adjacent, they kind of have some experience there. But obviously what happened with Venezuela shows that they were never going to truly be, it's not even their own military. It is, but it isn't, right? These are Cuban special forces that provided the support for the Maduro regime. Stuff just drives me up a wall. That was Professor Rantz ranting. Do we all understand? If I have a pop quiz, will people get it?
Get what?
What I just said.
I think so.
You got confused when I just asked if people got it. Get what? That was your response? Now I feel like I should start. Okay, I'm starting over. So we went to war with Venezuela. 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text. 1-800-465-8770. Every Thursday we post a weekly video update brought to you by your local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution, NUNN. This time we take on the debacle in our seas, in our Puget Sound ferries. Third of them are offline, dead in the water. We'll explain why that's happening. It all has to do with the green grift. When we come back on the Jason Rantz Show, Seattle groups, activists, they joined the protest following the shooting in Minneapolis by an ICE agent against someone who looked like she definitely wanted to run him over. But I've changed my view pretty dramatically on this. Last night when I got home, I decided to pretend I didn't see any video evidence and just take up Democrat talking points. So we'll get into that and so much more when we come back on the Jason Rantz Show.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Mitch here at Leathers, Washington's most eclectic home furnishings resource. There's a lot of chaos in the world, so take a break from social media and self-serving politicians. At Leathers in Issaquah, our design professionals will guide you to a happy place by elevating your home environment. More than leather, choose from the latest fabrics and solid wood, something for every room in your home. Our guaranteed low prices, quality, and service will lower your blood pressure and be kind to your wallet. So check the chaos at the door and come experience a Zen moment at Leathers in Issaquah.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. Picture amazing photography, designer staging, and maximum exposure. With my luxurious marketing, you'll sell fast at top dollar and save thousands in fees for just 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Smooth accelerators. When that light turns green, you're off. Like a warm knife through firm butter. Going from 0 to the speed limit in an appropriate amount of time. Sure, your car has horsepower, but your horses prance around as silky smooth as your right foot. Fancy Prancerton. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Best Mortgage, the VA loan and reverse mortgage experts, are proud to partner with Seattle Red for over 20 years. Get a no-pressure consultation from a real person, never an AI bot. Web search Best Mortgage for honest advice you can trust.
If you need security for your event or business, contact Security Services Northwest. From armed and unarmed officers to advanced remote monitoring, they've been doing it all since 1977. Go to ssnwhq.com for Security Services Northwest.
Be a part of all the excitement at Beasley Coliseum this year. Come cheer on the Washington State Cougars men's and women's basketball teams as they host the likes of Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and Oregon State State and conference play this season. Don't miss out on all the action. Grab your tickets to upcoming WSU basketball games today at WSUCougars.com/Tix. Again, that's WSUCougars.com/TIX. See you at Beasley Coliseum. Go Cougs!
Hey, this is Pete from What Matters, a show that covers everything having to do with your home. Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 on Seattle Red, where you'll hear from local business owners who are experts in their industries. From foundation to flooring, roofing and windows, furniture and financial planning, it's everything in and around your home, and we've got you covered here on Home Matters. If it matters to you, it matters to us here at Home Matters. Saturdays from 2 to 3 right here on Seattle Red, or listen to the podcast on mynorthwest.com.
This hour of the Jason Rantz Show is brought to you by General Transmission Repair.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, we've got a live stream channel, not just for live streaming of the show, but we've got lots of clips that we post all throughout the day, original content, and so much more. Just head on over to YouTube, search Jason Rantz, hit the subscribe button. We launched... I am kind of annoyed, I'll be honest. I keep getting some people. So we've got like 8,000 something followers or subscribers, because many times people watch videos, but they don't subscribe. That's common for YouTube. But some people, in good faith, they're leaving comments that say, why doesn't Jason have more followers? And I keep responding like, well, for starters, we just started this channel like a month and a half ago, and we mention it once, maybe every couple of weeks. That's why. What do you want from me? Dear God, I'm busy. I'm the only one. I'm the one doing it. Do you want to do it?
Do I want to?
Yes.
I wouldn't say want, but no.
Just say no. It's okay. I'm not expecting you to. I mean, if you were a good producer who's really dedicated, you would step up and say, of course I would want to do something like that. But that's okay. I'm not expecting you. Not everyone has my passion and my work drive. But that's why. And so anyone who's listening, if you want to help shut up the people who again, they're doing it in good faith from commenting like that, just go to youtube.com/Jason Rantz, or just fire up your YouTube app and search Jason Rantz, and then just hit a big button that says subscribe, and then you'll get to see all of my content. And just, I mean, right now, for example, I'm looking at myself, as I tend to, in our monitor, having a great hair day, if I'm being honest. I was booked for the Will Kane show, and then because of some breaking news, they moved me to tomorrow. I was like, but I'm wearing a tie that I really like, and my hair is on point, and I got to do this all again tomorrow? So much work. But you'd be able to see this live now, or in recorded form. What's the website?
SeattleRed.com.
Well, but the YouTube channel.
Seattle Red.
Hey, dummy, I just said it 14 times in the we've only been doing this segment for 2 minutes. It's just my name. Why is that so hard? Maybe that's why I don't have more followers. They're all like, I don't know how to find Jason Rantz on YouTube. How could you not know how to find it? It's just my name. Well, I've been spelling with an S.
Maybe that could be it.
That might be it. So I went home last night, and I made a conscious decision to think like a liberal. And by think, I mean, whatever they substitute for critical thinking. I decided to completely ignore all of the video evidence that makes it pretty crystal clear that a woman tried to run over an ICE agent. I decided to just completely ignore that, and I found myself really angry with ICE for committing murder. Because the only way that you can get to the point of claiming ICE committed murder, or this particular ICE agent committed murder in Minneapolis, is if you completely ignore all of the video footage. All of the video footage. You have to completely ignore it. I got an email because I'm on the distribution list for Seattle Indivisible, which is a left-wing radical group. They said, yesterday, ICE shot and killed a Minneapolis woman as she was attempting to turn her car around. That's how they described it. That's it. That's it. She was shot as she was, quote, attempting to turn her car around. She wasn't even attempting to turn her car around. She wasn't even going in a circle. She's going straight. But that's how they are pretending this should be framed. It's despicable. And of course, all this does is gin up violence against ICE agents. And that appears, yet again, to be the intent. That's what they're trying to do. Not just Seattle Indivisible, but leftists. The protesters locally, they decided last night after the show to go out to the federal courthouse in downtown Seattle. They left their keffiyehs at home. They left their free Maduro posters at home. Or they just turned it over and then they, in the back, mysteriously somehow appeared professional signage that was professionally printed, not in Comic Sans, professional font even, screaming about how ICE is filled with murderers. One protester spoke with Como. He said he already thought ICE was out of line, but this was just too much.
There's absolutely no excuse. And I think even before today, what ICE was doing is appalling.
I agree. And you know what? The more I looked at that video, I am pretty sure what he should have done, this ICE agent, is jump over the car. He should have jumped over the car in a single leap, like Superman. That's what he should have done. Now, there's this ludicrous group called the Seattle Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, alongside a group called Seattle Against War. That one at least makes sense. Their spokesperson, Robert Engel, yes, he's the spokesperson for two groups. Because remember, all of these groups are basically the same people, just with different group names. He also spoke with Como.
What ICE is doing is unacceptable. It's horrible. And it has to stop.
It has to stop.
He makes some great points.
It's
there.
very valid
persuasive.
points. Yes, I've again, when I heard that clip, I was like, okay, I'm changing my tune again. What happened in Minneapolis, to be clear, is tragic. A woman is dead. A child lost his mother. A family, I'm presuming, are shattered by all of this. And the most dishonest reaction to the shooting is this attempt by the radical left, the sympathetic lawmakers are the ones pretending to be sympathetic, to pretend that this all came out of nowhere, that what happened yesterday happened out of nowhere, or worse, that ICE somehow invited this on themselves by simply going out and doing their job. They did not invite this on themselves. For the last year, the radical left has worked overtime to demonize ICE, to call them Nazis, to call them the Gestapo, calling them agents of tyranny who are going around disappearing American citizens. They didn't stop at that rhetoric. We saw violence explode against ICE agents. We saw, I know some people maybe forgot in Texas, an assassination attempt. And these activists organized networks to track agents, to dox them, to interfere with their arrests, surround vehicles, block streets, provoke confrontations. And all of that was intentional. It wasn't an accident. It was intentional. It was egged on and encouraged by left-wing lawmakers and other left-wing activists. It was only a matter of time before someone got killed. This isn't shocking in that context. It's disturbing and shocking in the context of not wanting to lose a life. But to be clear, trying to kill a federal agent, that's not civil disobedience. It's called a felony. Interfering with an ICE operation, that is not civil disobedience. That is a felony. Both at the same time, they're still felonies. There's just now two. That's it. And in the real world, not some activist fantasy land, charging a vehicle at an armed law enforcement officer is one of the fastest ways you can get killed. It's almost a guarantee. At worst, it ends exactly the way it ended yesterday. At best, it ends in handcuffs and federal charges. Those are the only two options here. Unless we're just saying, no, the ICE agents or any law enforcement, they should just get killed. I know some leftists believe that. I don't. And instead of acknowledging any of the danger that the left has fueled, what are we getting? They're just doubling down. You had Jacob Fry saying, get the F out, in a very masculine way. That's toxic masculinity, my friends. Tim Waltz, toxic masculinity. Get out of here. Or I mean, send more people here because for the last 24 hours, no one's focused on my fraud and asked me to step aside. The way that they're acting is if we don't have video, these protesters.
I had to come out tonight because this just crossed the line. Beyond belief.
It's beyond belief. It just crossed the line. Not trying to run over a cop. And I'm hearing from people say, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Again, we know that's what happened because we have video. We have video evidence. This is the same kind of gaslighting that the left loves to engage in. And I understand why they engage in it because sometimes it works. And of course, they have a media environment that's going to amplify all of these claims. You see thousands of people streaming across the border. Oh, the border's secure. It's the most secure border we've ever had. You have all this equipment that was left in Afghanistan. You have dead soldiers in Afghanistan. Oh, it was the most brilliant pullout the military has ever engaged in. You have inflation sky high. Oh, no, it's transitory. It's barely even there. Actually, Bidenomics has been a huge success. Egg prices, they're not up, but they're $17. That's normal. Like, is it though? They're just lying to us. This is the same playbook used over and over and over again. You inflame tensions, you encourage confrontations, you feign shock when there's violence, and you blame the other guy. You blame the other side. That's what they're doing here. And you've got some who are Monday morning quarterbacking or Thursday morning quarterbacking. John Urquhart, former King County Sheriff, he spoke with King 5. I like John Urquhart. I think he sometimes lets his personal political stuff get in the way of his analysis, but I respect him. Let's hear what he has to say in favor of the left.
This is an officer, a ICE agent who, from my looking at the video, took a bad position. If you don't want to get run over, don't get in front of a car. It's the police equivalent of don't run with scissors.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, that actually is sound advice when the officer isn't on the other side of the vehicle. So how does he get to the other side to help his partner or his colleague who was trying to make the arrest? He started from the other side of the vehicle. Again, should he jump over it? Should he just step back and do the whole like kind of move your foot in the dirt just to get some traction and then just jump over? How is he supposed to get? I mean, go back and look at the video and you can see his position is coming from the other side of the car to the other side when the woman decided to go at him with the vehicle. Now, at best, you can say maybe she didn't see him. I find that very hard to believe. But she was told to get out of the vehicle. She decided not to. She reversed, and then she floored it forward, making physical contact with the cop. And it appears that the bullet or bullets went through the front windshield. Now, I don't think it matters where it goes through, but that certainly bodes better in pushing back against this argument that she was fleeing when he shot her. No. That's not what happened. And ironically, Urquhart is saying that the Trump administration reacted way too quickly.
It's beyond the pale. It's pathetic. You don't jump to conclusions. You don't prejudge a police-involved shooting.
Like literally every single Democrat? Including Pramila Jayapal, who called this a murder?
Everything that DHS has said, Kristi Noem and Donald Trump, are lies.
Yeah, everything is a lie. You should trust Pramila Jayapal, who's known for never telling a lie.
It is very clear if you watch that video that this woman was shot by ICE as she was turning away from ICE.
And by the way, I also kind of like that because she's justifying fleeing from federal law enforcement trying to make an arrest. She is justifying that. Does she say at any point that that car that was turning away, fleeing, hit the ICE agent?
And that she was killed, and that is when the car kind of sped ahead. The agent was not injured. You see the agent walk back to his car right after. So everything that they have said about this situation is completely wrong.
Again, we say this a lot. There's some people who are just rotten. She's in that list. She might be close to the top, if not at the top. Certainly locally, she's just a rotten person. No redeeming value to anything that Pramila Jayapal says, except I suppose it gives us some content.
How do you really feel about her?
I can't. There are a few people who I legitimately loathe in politics. Like, of all the thousands that I loathe, the few thousand that I loathe, she's still at the top. And of course, they're still out in Minneapolis now, possibly getting ready to riot. We'll see. There this morning, they were out and about. And by the way, that King 5 story, did you not include the sane voices on the right that they no doubt included in their package that all of a sudden, was just left wing? Because they're not normally like that at King 5.
I don't think so. I didn't leave anything out.
But you only pulled those 3 cuts.
That's all there was.
They didn't have anyone on the other side?
No, yeah, shocking, I know.
Oh, that's so weird. I'm a little shocked by that. Wow. Man, my trust in local media is just...
They're always so down the middle, too, King 5.
I know. They usually are really on top of things. It was the Sandra Yu. What's her name? Yu?
Sharon Yu.
Sharon Yu. Ugh. 1-800-465-8770 if you want to send me a text. Don't forget, our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn, knows the pressure that comes from owing money to the IRS, so don't let that pressure build. Call None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. Google N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution. Speaking of our friend Greg Nunn, he is the sponsor of our weekly video update, None Better Tax Resolution. And this time, I take you through the absurd scenarios we keep finding ourselves in, dealing with ferries that, don't work. We've got the video posted on all of our social media channels. Just head on over to facebook.com/Jason Rantz Show or twitter.com/Jason Rantz. Again, that video is brought to you by None Better Tax Resolution. When we come back, a notorious judge is a judge no more. We'll get into that more on the Jason Rantz Show.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Look, I get that sometimes you're in a real pickle. You are desperate for a vehicle, a used vehicle. Don't make the mistake of signing on to the average used car financing rate right now, which is like 11.87%. That is highway robbery. Pun intended, by the way. I intended that pun because we're talking about cars and highway. You get it? Jackson, you got it? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Especially when you go to the Sunset Auto family. They're offering what might be the best used vehicle financing deal out there. Under 5% financing for 72 months. No payments for 90 days on all qualifying vehicles 2015 and newer. That's insane. On top of that, you're going to get top dollar for your trade-in. They're going to throw in lifetime warranty protection on every qualifying vehicle. So visit any Sunset Auto family dealership today because you just get more at Sunset. And people do like that. Sunset Kia in Auburn, Sunset Chevrolet and Sunset Ford in Sumner, online at sunsetautofamily.com. All financing rates and terms are subject to credit approval on qualifying vehicles only.
When the rain doesn't stop and the water begins to rise, a home shouldn't be left vulnerable. Heavy storms and flooding can cause lasting damage, but homeowners don't have to face it alone. Lake Atitlan Insulation specializes in water drainage solutions that protect properties and provide peace of mind. Call today before the damage is done. Lake Atitlan Insulation. Local, trusted, efficient. Visit lakeatitlaninsulation.com and schedule your free estimate today. Call 206-660-4624. Lake Atitlan Insulation, where warmth meets wisdom.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Gradual breakers. You keep your eyes on the road, so you've seen it all. As long as it all happened directly in front of you, like a Swedish masseuse, your foot knows exactly the right amount of pressure to apply to the brake. That's why your passengers feel totally relaxed with you behind the wheel and occasionally super sleepy. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
The Roanoke Conference, dubbed the must-attend event for Republican leaders in Washington state, is January 23rd to 25th in Ocean Shores. This year's keynote speakers are Fox News contributor Mary Catherine Ham and gender clinic whistleblower Jamie Reed. Join them at Washington's largest gathering for those right of center. Special discounts for students, active duty military, and law enforcement. Register for one of the last spots at RoanokeConference.org. RoanokeConference.org.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. We're getting some news coming in that U.S. Customs and Border Patrol agents or protection agents shot 2 people in Portland not long ago, at some point Thursday afternoon, so today. This according to Portland City councilors. We don't have many details outside of 2 people being shot. We don't know the condition of them, and we have a general location of East Burnside and 141st Street Avenue. ABC News says that the FBI is leading the investigation. Something tells me if they were seriously wounded, this would probably be out there by now. But again, we don't know any more details beyond that. I imagine you're just going to see more protests there. I saw there was a story, I think the Seattle Times had it this morning, but then it was followed up by some open letter from the Seattle police chief, Sean Barnes, about an arrest of either one person or possibly 2 people by ICE agents in Seattle. And, okay, how's that news? I mean, let me read to you from our sister site, mynorthwest.com. The Seattle Police Department said witnesses reported seeing ICE agents arrest 3 men in North Seattle. How is that a news story? And again, I'm not dismissing My Northwest's reporting because I would write this too. It's that the SPD is pretending that this is somehow, wrong? Absurd? This is so obscene. How dare they? How dare they? Bob Kettle, Seattle City Council member and sellout to the cause that actually put him in office, said it appeared the men were first confronted at a nearby Home Depot and then chased into a nearby cemetery. And there's what cemetery is the Wasali Cemetery in North Seattle. So he's very upset, I guess, that this happened. He spoke with our sister station, Cairo News Radio.
I don't think we need full battle rattle at the Home Depot on Aurora.
So I'll let him finish, but since he has literally zero idea as to who was arrested, is it possible that this is not, what did he call it, battle rattle? That they went after someone with a criminal history who needed to be arrested? Is that, I'm just asking if it's possible that that's what happened. That they didn't just go to a random Home Depot, because we have more Home Depots than just the one in Seattle. We have a lot of ICE agents here. Is it possible that this was a targeted event and Bob Kettle doesn't know what the hell it is he's talking about and he's desperate to get reelected and he sees the direction that the city is going and so he's leaning into the crazy?
I don't think we need that type of approach, mask and with that kind of, tactical gear.
Oh, Bob Kettle doesn't think that. And he knows as a member of law enforcement, a current member of law enforcement. Oh, he's not? Oh, okay.
Too often what we're seeing with federal law enforcement, never mind the mask and the tactical gear that they're wearing, but they're not really doing the due process. They're not doing all these things that we have as a nation in terms of rule of law.
Bob Kettle is lying. He's not telling you the truth, and he's doing it intentionally, which is what? A lie. Is that still the definition of the lie, or did Democrats change that definition too because it's them who's lying?
I think that's a lie. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's lying. Again, he has zero information about what happened. Zero information whatsoever, but he's happy to speculate because he thinks it's going to earn him some extra political points.
It's sad to me that they're masked up and basically in full gear. You know, as a veteran of Iraq in Baghdad 0304, you know, I don't think we need full battle rattle at the Home Depot on Aurora.
He just likes using the term battle rattle, doesn't he?
I don't think I've ever even heard that
I've
before.
never heard that either. But he's saying it with such confidence. I didn't want to say anything in case people thought that I would sound stupid for not knowing battle rattle. I mean, I guess I know what he's saying, but I don't know if he does. Oh, this is so maddening. A little less maddening. Remember the judge who ended up getting convicted last month on a federal felony charge for helping illegal immigrant evade federal agents? Her name is Hannah Dugan, Milwaukee judge. Well, former Milwaukee judge. She announced this week that she is resigning as a judge, which that seems like the right move after you are convicted on a federal felony charge by a jury for helping an illegal immigrant evade federal agents, knowingly helping. Like this wasn't, I got tricked into helping. I didn't know he was here illegally. She ended up getting charged. She ended up being found guilty by a federal grand jury or a federal jury. They said she was guilty of one felony count of violating U.S. code, and a spokesperson said that they got her resignation letter and that they would move forward with filling the judicial vacancy out in Wisconsin. This is a vacancy that's filled by Tony Evers, the Democrat governor there, and I'm sure we're going to get just another Dugan. I'm assuming we'll get another Dugan there. I do like that after she was found guilty, the same people who said this is an outrage that she was targeted by the Gestapo, they didn't say anything. It was very, very little coverage. Weird how that works. Just no coverage almost. 1-800-465-8770 for your text messages. 1-800-465-8770. Don't forget to subscribe to the Jason Rantz podcast. Wherever it is you get your podcast, just search my name.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. So there are some folks who probably think that they are in the clear because they haven't been hounded by IRS agents for the last few weeks. But that is a false sense of comfort.
It's a false sense of comfort. And I understand why people feel that way, Jason, because with the IRS shut down, all the revenue agents, the auditors, the revenue officers, the tax collectors, they weren't in their office. And the IRS stopped sending out notices because they knew that, people just couldn't respond to them because there weren't a lot of IRS personnel around. And so you get comfortable, you get complacent. But no, they're ramping back up. I can say as soon as the IRS opened back up, the government opened back up, I had several cases that were in appeals, and right away, the first week they opened up, I got calls from the appeals officers to get those cases
I like
scheduled.
the idea that they are not considered essential workers, but I also hate the idea that someone right now is thinking that they're off the hook, only to realize they're just a little bit behind at the IRS.
Well, it's interesting. I think the psychology that plays into this is because people that haven't filed or need to pay, they're kind of procrastinators by nature. And so this just fuels that because it took that pressure off, and it gives you that false sense of going, oh man, I'm in the clear. This is all good. I'll just keep going. But I tell you, folks, really, if you got an IRS issue, it's better to take care of it now than later. It really is. The worst thing that a taxpayer can do is ignore the IRS, because believe me, they're not going to go away. They're there to do their job.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO-FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastlake, 33 BU Seattle.
Demonstrations in Minneapolis. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Governor Tim Walz has authorized the staging of the National Guard as protests there grow.
Hundreds of people taking to the streets across the city a day after an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good after federal officials allege she attempted to use her SUV as a deadly weapon. The FBI now handling the investigation into the incident alone, after state officials claim they were pushed out and denied access to case materials and evidence from the scene. Federal officials say the FBI has jurisdiction since they believe this was an attack on a federal law enforcement officer who they say was fully justified in what he did.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Minneapolis. Governor Walz says the state must be a part of the investigation. Portland, Oregon police say 2 people are hospitalized following a shooting involving federal agents this afternoon. Their conditions are not known. The House passing a measure that would extend Obamacare subsidies for another 3 years, but it's not a done deal.
The bill passed 230 to 196. 17 Republicans joined all Democrats in voting yes. However, the House bill can't overcome a Senate filibuster. Senators are crafting a bipartisan compromise to wind down Obamacare aid and impose reform.
Fox's Chad Pergram in Washington. President Trump directing the federal government to buy $200 million in mortgage bonds to help bring down the cost of home ownership.
The purchase, the president says, will drive mortgage rates down, monthly payments down, and make the cost of owning a home more affordable. It is the second housing-focused announcement from the president in as many days. Wednesday, he called for Congress to ban large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. Both actions come as affordability and the cost of living emerge as a top concern for voters ahead of November's midterm elections.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America's listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Coach! The yellow light! I'm walking here! I'm walking!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We are here live on Seattle Red, 770 AM. We are streaming live on SeattleRed.com and the Seattle Red app. We've got a ton to get to, including the News Tribune trying to figure out whether or not Sheriff Keith Swank spends too much time on X, which means they don't like what he's saying on X, so they're going to smear him. But before that, we've got new rules for license plate reading cameras, the Flock system. That's what's trending, brought to you by the Sunset Auto family.
What's trending? Crime.
We made reference to this yesterday. We got a press release about a new Flock security system bill that was being introduced by Jasmine Trudeau, state senator from Tacoma, but she had not actually uploaded the bill yet, so I wanted to wait until we saw it. Fox 13 picked up the story as well, and the Flock system, or they're called automatic license plate readers, ALPRs.
Lappers.
It starts with an A, though.
Oh, ALP, right, yeah.
It's Alpers, not LARPers, but Alpers. And we say Flock because that's the main if not only one that's in use here in Washington State. What it does is allow the law enforcement agency to upload information on a license plate and a car to the system. And if it drives by one of these cameras, the AI on board can identify this license plate and say, okay, this is 12345. It's reported stolen. It's driving westbound on Main Street, whatever it is. So this has been very successfully used here all across Western Washington. There was a story, I can't remember the city. It might have been out of Kent, but I saw a story on Monday about a local police department using it again to catch some bad guys. And so naturally, because we have a party in power that seems to go out of its way to support criminals, you've got people like Yasmin Trudeau who's pushing back and saying, we need better regulation so that, sure, if we want some bad guys to get caught, but we got to make sure not too many bad guys get caught and the wrong kind of bad guy. Like, for example, a criminal illegal immigrant. We want to make sure that they're not caught. She says this is about building trust, not making life harder on cops, which is a lie from her. She spoke with Fox 13.
But I think we all have a vested interest in protecting our data. There is, evidence.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. When anyone, Democrat or Republican, with very few exceptions, on the Republican side at least, pretend that they care about data collection. They're flat out lying. At the national level, how many times do they pass the Patriot Act? Like, just stop. And on the local level, Yasmin Trudeau does not care about data collection. She cares about getting in the way of ICE using this information to enforce immigration law. That's all that this is about. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying to you. And, I want to call out maybe some people in this audience. In fact, certainly some people in this audience in general, because there's someone out there right now who says, well, the privacy is important, they say, while sending email on Gmail or listening maybe to the show on an Alexa or an Echo. Right? Like, we give away all of our data all the time. You might not like it, right? You might do so reluctantly. I don't like how my data is out there because it results in a lot of spam phone calls. It's like, I don't like it. But I've never said, you know what? I'm not going to sign up for this social media account because I don't like its terms of service. I don't read it. You don't read it. None of us read it. We get upset when Apple forces you to scroll all the way down before you can hit next on the app. Every time that happens, like, oh God, I'm not reading it. You know that this is all fake, but now I'm giving you an out so you can't get sued by me. It says, I didn't know. I didn't actually read the whole thing. It's all a scam. No one cares about this. You just pretend to.
Find the right issue and we all become civil libertarians.
Yeah, all of a sudden, we're Rand Paul.
That there are backdoor channels to access this data. And so I think what it revealed was that we don't have any sideboards right now and that jurisdictions are kind of doing whatever they want. We're not punishing law enforcement. We are understanding our responsibility to protect our people.
Yeah, our people. She means criminal illegal immigrants. And in fairness, this is not just Yasmin Trudeau. It has a Republican supporter who's been on the show before, Jeff Hawley. Let's maybe get him on so I can do a little bit of yelling. So next time someone says, you're not fair. You're not. Well, Lauren Davis, a Democrat's going to be on soon, and I support what she's doing. And we'll have Jeff Hawley, and I'll tell him I don't like what he's doing. How about that? He could be my token Republican that I yell at this week. Well, at least I'm being honest. But he's supporting this. But it's just ridiculous how this is all being demonized. Remember, it's Redmond and other cities, Edmonds maybe, deciding to claw back their use of Flock. But the police chief of Lakewood, Patrick Smith, who, by the way, we just featured this week because they had no murders last year. He's saying, no, Flock, the security camera, the Ulpers, save lives.
I'm a big proponent for using technology to resolve crime and make a difference in the community. This past year, our crime numbers kind of speak for themselves. We were able to save a 15-year-old girl from being sex trafficked. We were able to find this vehicle before it entered into Mexico and bring her back safely to her family.
It says there are now if this bill were to pass, strict data retention timelines ranging from 4 hours to 72 hours, depending on the purpose. It would require agencies, Fox 13 says, to register their systems with the state attorney general. Yeah, that's what we want to give him more power. Survivor loser. And certify compliance with training and policy requirements, which Chief Smith says that's a bit of a problem.
Specifically, when 72 hours, we may not know if that vehicle is involved in a crime or not. We need time to follow up. Or am I so concerned that I don't want the police to do anything? I want them to police like it's 1957 versus 2026.
He's 100%. I don't know why I picked 57 in particular, but he's 100% correct. And by the way, they definitely don't want you going back to 1957. we can all safely say that. Certainly not Yasmin Trudeau. But his point is wise. What this bill essentially says is we're going to destroy evidence that can be used, or a tool that can be used to collect evidence of a crime in 3 days. Doesn't that seem problematic to anyone else?
Yeah.
So you're stealing a car, or you're a criminal in a car that we now can track, but all you have to do is lay low for 3 days and know that when 72 hours passes, you are free to go. Go about your day. Hunker down in an apartment for 3 days and then just go back out there. Have at it. We're going to stop Lakewood PD and everyone else from tracking you. Yeah, this is a problem, which means it's going to pass. And it's got bipartisan support, so it means it's going to pass.
The worse the bill in the Washington State Legislature, the more likely it is it'll pass.
Oh, I think that's my point. If ever we say this outrageous bill was just introduced, we should end it by just simply saying, and it'll be passed within a few weeks. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? The sports ball.
Adam Smith, the congressman who acts in bad faith. Well, he said Congress needs to step in and bring some semblance of order to college football. Explain to me what happened with the UW Huskies quarterback, Demond Williams Jr.
Basically,
not senior.
Yeah.
He was a great athlete in his own right.
Basically, he, on Friday, was announced that he had signed a new NIL deal to come back to Washington. And just a few days later, he all of a sudden he posts on like Instagram that he's transferring. So people are like, what's going on? And it seems that he got like a $6 million deal. It hasn't been officially announced, but it seems like he's probably going to LSU, which is where Lane Kiffin is now. So, of course, he's at the middle of this because he always causes trouble.
So people are mad at the quarterback?
Yeah, because he made a commitment to come back. He's apparently signed a contract for $4 million. Mm-hmm. And then just literally a few days later, he's like, psych, I'm leaving.
And why do we care?
Well, because
he's a good quarterback. We want him to play.
Yeah, he's a good young player. And it's kind of this ongoing theme in college football since the NIL era started, where there's just like, it's the Wild West. Like, there's people just transfer whenever they want, wherever they want.
For money.
Yeah.
But he's making more, presumably, right? Making more money off of this transfer?
Yes.
Okay. And before, the same people who are complaining were saying it's wrong that universities are making a whole bunch of money off of the players' talent. The players should be making money. Now they're saying it's wrong that players are making decisions on the basis of how much money they potentially can get if they make a transfer or go somewhere specifically?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay, do you see the problem here?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little bit. Again, I come at this completely separate from caring at all, right? Like I never heard of the guy. I forgot that UW has a football team. I forgot that their mascot are the Huskies, pushing all that aside. So I'm looking at this completely as a third party who's independent, right? This sounds like you guys created this problem by saying players should be getting paid.
I mean,
what do you think was going to, not you specifically, but the people who made all these demands, which I remember thinking originally, like, they are getting paid. They're getting usually a full ride to a usually really good school.
Mm-hmm.
That is the payment. Oh, no, that's not enough. They're being exploited. Okay, well, now you're trying to exploit them again. You're telling them that you cannot make a transfer for more money?
I think people just want to see some regulations, like, because it seems like a pretty untenable, like, business model for the sport.
Hold on. The people who want to see regulations are the people who put this in place.
A lot of them probably.
Yeah, okay. Well, why didn't they put in more regulation then?
That's a good question.
Here's Adam Smith on our sister station, Car News Radio.
First of all, commitments apparently mean absolutely nothing. Now, if you want to say you can transfer whatever, you sign a contract and then you think that contract doesn't mean anything. You make that commitment and you just tear it up. Now, I think commitments to people should matter whether or not you happen to get $1 million more.
Not commitments to the Constitution, because you'd fail that.
As I understand it, we promised Damon Williams $4 million for 1 year of playing college football.
What do you mean we? Old man.
Well, he's speaking as we as like Husky fans, you know.
Okay, what if I'm a Wazoo fan?
Then I feel really bad for you, given how much they've been screwed over in the NIL era. But
well, what's the team he's going to? Lane, whatever.
Allegedly, it hasn't been official, but
Yeah.
people suspect it's LSU.
My favorite team. They're absolutely my favorite team. What's it? Loyola,
Louisiana State.
Louisiana State. My favorite team.
I think that's probably a pretty good deal. You don't need to detonate contracts and alienate people to do it.
Well, how old is he? 21?
I think he's like 20, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're pretending that we're shocked by this?
I mean, it's not shocking, I guess, but I think people are understandably mad at not just him, but kind of anybody.
Would the players, or excuse me, the fans be mad? And would Adam Smith be talking about this if it was reverse? He committed to Louisiana State and then he got wooed over by the Huskies?
Probably
not.
not.
Not at all. They wouldn't say anything.
No, probably
not. Okay, well then this isn't about consistency. It's not about principles. It's not about fairness. It's about being a fan of a team and being upset that you lost the player.
There's the SCORE Act, which would be a way to give NCAA greater power to regulate all of this stuff.
I thought you didn't want NCAA to have so much power. You called them the problem, not him specifically, but this side of the argument. Didn't they consider him, the NCAA, the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're saying they need more power.
Which I think is fine, but we have to make sure that we do it in a way that doesn't just empower the most powerful conferences, most powerful teams.
Okay, so you want to give them more power, but not too much power. Just enough so that they do things that benefit your favorite team.
I want to support all sports, not just the major college football programs. So that's the big challenge right now. But yes, I think Congress should act to bring some semblance of order to the chaos.
Or
that
just
is
mind your own
college sports,
business.
because it doesn't just affect the sports that we watch on TV.
You know what I always say? The best way to fix a system is more regulations, more government oversight. Get Congress involved. That usually ends well.
It affects, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of athletes playing tennis, volleyball, all manners of other things, which are really important for young people having those opportunities.
Shut up. It doesn't impact anyone playing volleyball. There's no one fighting for volleyball players. There's a $10 million transfer. Come over to LSU. Leave Pacific Lutheran. We'll give you way more than they will ever offer you. Volleyball. So you talk field hockey. No, it's really, you're just talking about football, maybe basketball, maybe baseball. That's it. Right.
I mean, those are certainly basketball and football are the major revenue producers.
I don't care. Hey, kids, get as much money as humanly possible because the chances are very unlikely that you're going to get to the NFL. Even if you're really good, there's no guarantee you could become Johnny Football.
I don't think it's necessarily that people have a problem with them making money.
Yes, it is.
No, I think it's just the fluidity
they don't want someone to make money if it hurts their favorite team. That's it. That's precisely why no one would have batted an eye if it was the reverse LSU coming to UW. 100%.
I think still in the macro, people think that the system is very flawed and it doesn't create the best product.
Okay, well then they shouldn't have changed the system. They did.
Well, that I agree with. I was never in favor of NIL.
They created this. They 100% created this monster.
Yeah, you let the cat out of the bag.
It's Frankenstein, except this one I think is mildly more entertaining than the movie Frankenstein on Netflix.
College football is way more entertaining than Frankenstein.
No, the conversation about
that too,
college football. I don't like college football any more than I like regular football. I just don't like football. I don't hate it either.
Like football,
I find myself, I do like football, real football. I find myself enjoying football more than I did before. Like I listened to, for the first time ever, I listened to a game because it was on ESPN. I don't have ESPN. So I was listening on our sister station for the Seahawks game against the 49ers. It wasn't even a good game, but I found myself kind of enjoying it, and I like Steve Rabel.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah. How do you know that?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, who does the play-by-play for the Falcons? Okay, exactly. How do you know he's not one of the best?
I don't know. I mean,
how do you know? What about the Packers?
I can use my.
Excuse me. What about the Packers, sir?
I don't know. Yeah.
He's not good. What about the Giants?
Well,
Bears, Rams, 49ers. How many do you know?
In football, not that many.
Just because you like this guy doesn't mean he's one of the best. What if he's one of the worst and everyone else is great? You know what I mean?
Well, I think I can use my faculties of reason and
what faculties of reason?
Surmise that he's pretty. It's hard to find someone much better.
Yes, I really do like Steve Rabel. He's good people, and every time he's in the building, he'll nod at me. Mm-hmm. And same with the Mariners guy.
I really wish he'd grow the mustache back, though.
I'll tell him that the next time he gives me a knowing nod. Who's the Mariners guy?
Rick Riz?
Yeah, he always says, I'm convinced that Rick Riz thinks he knows who I am, but doesn't actually. I don't know why, because I've never actually met him. He's just one of those really super friendly people who says hi to everyone, but I don't think he says hi to everyone.
There's one bar in Issaquah, actually, that he hangs out at a lot.
Really?
And I saw him there once with some friends, like years ago.
He seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
I like him.
One of my friends went up and talked to him, and he was... I feel like I got the sense that Rick was probably like, okay, can you please just leave me alone? But he was still very nice to him.
Yeah. That's as someone who does get approached too frequently, I understand the pain of wanting to be nice, but also wanting to be left alone at the exact same moment. And it is not easy. I was walking in the lobby about, 3 hours ago. And there were a bunch of college students from Gonzaga who were doing a tour. And I didn't realize they were in the lobby as I was walking by. And the guy giving the tour introduced me to everyone, which meant I had to stop and just stand there awkwardly as he explained that I'm a talk show host, to which I wanted to say I didn't because I didn't want to stay there too long. I was thinking, your parents know who I am. You don't. Your parents know who I am. I was at my gym this past weekend, and the guy goes, he's 22, 23, he looks. So you're that Seattle Red fella. You're in media. I go, yep. And for a moment there, I was thinking to myself, how does this 20-something-year-old know? He goes, my mom listens to your podcast all the time. I was like, God bless this woman. But also, you just made me feel so old. So old. I was like, yeah, lots of moms and dads know who I am.
And grandparents.
And especially grandparents. Your parents know who I am.
Of course, yeah.
Gosh, how could they ignore me? Push the button.
What's trending on social media?
Well, there is a new study that came out from UW Medicine, that looked at 640 students tracked between 2022 and 2024 to see how they used their cell phones during school hours. And it showed, on average, students are on their phones for over an hour every school day, which is shockingly low to me. Would you not have assumed it would be way more than an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Way more than an hour. This actually made me think that perhaps we're overstating the crisis on how teens and young adults are addicted to their phones. Over at SeattleRed.com, it writes, the distraction is even more intense. About 25% of the students in the UW study were found to be using their phones for more than 90 minutes of the school day. So the average is an hour, but then there's that small cohort that do 90 minutes. That also doesn't seem very high to me.
I mean, I guess you can only use it so much because, like, when you're in the middle of class, it's like if the teacher catches you, you have to, like, kind of...
Well, the only time you're going to be using it without presumably... Let's just assume we're talking about a teacher who's going to yell at you if you... Let's just make that assumption. Before school, during breaks in the hallway, and then during your lunch and after school period, right? that's still going to account for more than an hour to 90 minutes all in. So this doesn't seem like I've changed my tune. I don't think cell phones are bad anymore. Doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. It seems like they're using it reasonably throughout the day. How often are you on your phone? More than an hour?
Yeah.
Way more than an hour. I'm on my phone all the time. As I'm doing this radio show right now, I've got my phone in my hand, and I'm playing chess against some 16-year-old kid who's kicking my ass in Virginia. Look, he just won. I'm kidding. I'm not playing anyone. He's 12. 1-800-465-8770 for your text. Sunset Auto Family, loyal supporters of Seattle Red, and want you to know that every qualifying new and used vehicle comes with oil changes for life. It's going to save you thousands of dollars over the lifetime of your vehicle. So when you're ready for your next car or truck, be sure to visit our friends at the Sunset Auto Family in Auburn and Sumner, online at sunsetautofamily.com. When we come back, the Tacoma News Tribune is continuing their smear campaign against our friend, Pierce County Sheriff Keith Swank. We'll tell you what they're up to when we return. This hour brought to you by the Northwest Safe Company.
How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I was able to achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. I'm surprised and relieved every time I look in the mirror. You need to know what that feels like. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there is no one I would trust more than Advanced Hair Restoration. I experienced their exceptional standard of care firsthand. Your comfort and your results are the top priority of the entire Advanced Hair team. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 425-449-8185. That's 425-449-8185. Discover what meeting your resolutions could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
Hey, Armstrong and Getty here. It's truly never too early to plan for retirement. Maybe it's decades away or just right around the corner. Either way, our friends at Trajan Wealth, their fiduciary advisors, can ensure you feel prepared for that major financial shift in your life. Contact our friends at Trajan Wealth today to learn more.
Yeah, so maybe you think it's as simple as you calculate your expenses you're going to have when you retire and then figure out how much you need to have. It's a lot more complicated than that. Trajan Wealth can come up with a plan and a strategy that fits your life based on realistic options that align with your goals and circumstances.
And they are so good at customizing a plan for you and helping you understand it too, which, speaking for myself, is really comforting. Give Trajan Wealth a call today at 206-203-4400 or TrajanWealth.com. That's spelled TRAJAN Wealth.com. TrajanWealth.com.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC. SEC registered investment advisor. Client paid advertisement. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Mitch here at Leathers, Washington's most eclectic home furnishings resource. There's a lot of chaos in the world, so take a break from social media and self-serving politicians. At Leathers in Issaquah, our design professionals will guide you to a happy place by elevating your home environment. More than leather, choose some of the latest fabrics and solid wood, something for every room in your home. Our guaranteed low prices, quality, and service will lower your blood pressure and be kind to your wallet. So check the chaos at the door and come experience a Zen moment at Leathers in Issaquah.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. Last year, the big news, obviously, was the accomplishment of the big, beautiful bill, but that also comes with some big, beautiful changes to the IRS.
There are some big, beautiful changes going on, and so many of those changes in the big, beautiful bill impact 2025. There's definitely some big spiffs in there for the ordinary working person. One thing that I'm really disappointed in is the way that things have been communicated in regards to the Social Security. It is still going to be taxed. It's not like it's not going to be taxed, but it will be, for most people, a reduction in the amount of tax.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None better tax resolution.
The Roanoke Conference, dubbed the must-attend event for Republican leaders in Washington state, is January 23rd to 25th in Ocean Shores. This year's keynote speakers are Fox News contributor Mary Catherine Ham and Gender Clinic whistleblower Jamie Reed. Join them at Washington's largest gathering for those right of center. Special discounts for students, active duty military, and law enforcement. Register for one of the last spots at RoanokeConference.org. RoanokeConference.org. Spring is right around the corner, but the perfect time to start your outdoor project is right now. Natural Design Landscaping has been serving Seattle and the East Side for nearly 30 years. They design, build, and maintain stunning outdoor spaces, from full makeovers to weekly maintenance. Beat the spring rush and get your yard project started today. Mention Seattle Red and get 10% off your first service. Visit naturaldesignlandscape.com to schedule your consultation. Natural Design Landscaping, let's build something wonderful together.
Snoqualmie, Mercer Island, Des Moines.
This is the Big Local on the Jason Rantz Show.
Shoreline, Woodinville, Burien.
Stories about you, not about Seattle.
Hey, look at that. Look at the time, 4:30 on a weekday afternoon. That means it's time for the Big Local, brought to you by the Guy Benson Show, hosted weekdays from noon to 3 right here on Seattle Red, 770 AM. This is the part of the show where we completely ignore stories coming out of Seattle and instead focus all of our attention on the communities you live in and care about the most. We start in Pierce County. There's yet another News Tribune article critical of Keith Swank, Pierce County Sheriff. They have written so many smear pieces, hit pieces against Keith Swank. Now, he doesn't care. He might get annoyed, I suppose, but he's not really worried about what the Tacoma News Tribune has to say. But they keep pretending that this is actual news when it's just opinions. Now, if they want to label these smear pieces as opinions, okay, that's different. You can have an opinion on whatever it is you want. But they're pretending that this is news and it's not. And it doesn't even read as if it is just like a standalone news story or even a feature story. It says late in the evening and in the wee hours of the morning, one of Pierce County's most powerful and inflammatory social media posters puts his fingers to the keyboard, sending off musings on news and politics while firing back at the haters in the replies. Sheriff Keith Swank posts frequently on the website X, occasionally giving multiple replies in the same minute, and not infrequently responding to upwards of a dozen commenters in a day. Some of Swank's reply guys have suggested he's wasting the public's time and money. Okay, so first of all, it says late in the evening and in the wee hours of the morning, which is outside of a traditional work week. Now, you can argue, well, he is the sheriff 24/7. That's true. How many times does Pramila Jayapal tweet?
A lot.
All day, all night. Now, you know what Keith Swank is doing, especially when he's responding to people? You know what he's doing? Ask me what he's doing.
What's he doing?
Talking to his constituents.
Oh.
It's weird.
It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's so odd. It's super odd. They say the News Tribune analyzed a month's worth of Swank's X posts to compare against his work calendar and official correspondence. Although he posts prolifically, is known to take shots at transgender people and spout conspiracy theories. Oh, God. Oh, dear God. Swank largely refrains from posting during business hours. His calendar and a portion of his emails and texts from his official Pierce County account and phone number were released to the News Tribune through public records requests. They reflect a busy schedule and steady oversight of issues within his office. He also has a habit of emailing employees on their birthday and thanking them for their work. I'm surprised they included that in the article. That makes him seem like a normal, nice guy, which is not their intent. He said in an email that he considers his posting on X his sheriff work, and that he uses the platform as a recruiting tool for the sheriff's office. In fact, he protested the methodology used to analyze whether he spends too much time online. Oh, which, by the way, how do you even analyze that? What is too much time online? What does that mean? What does it mean?
It's subjective, yeah.
It's completely subjective. And again, does anyone think if he were online with hashtag Trans Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, ICE is filled with killers, Do you think that they would be upset? No, they would be celebrating his openness on political issues. This is such a bad faith article. It's such a bad faith article. And again, they don't have anything to even justify looking over his X account. They can't go out and say, there have been complaints about him not showing up to the office and, not responding to concerns from his staff members. They don't have any of that. They just say, well, some people say he shouldn't be tweeting. How is that a good... I don't think you should be reporting this. So why is it that their complaints are more valid than mine? It's just so absurd. They say the earliest in the day that Swank posted between September 29th and October 24th was at 2:09 a.m. on a Monday. Okay. Then they say they're upset with the tweet because he said to follow the science when someone said trans women are women. Which is, again, that's all that this is about. What a stupid waste of time. Otherwise, it's a wonderful article and probably going to win them some awards. I don't understand why fewer and fewer people are purchasing the News Tribune and why they had to stop their print edition. So I'm shocked by that. I don't understand. I mean, this is quality journalism. They're journalisming. Oh my God. I like this story from King 5. City of Tacoma is adding more traffic safety cameras because citation costs increase. Is that the reason why? They say the city of Tacoma is expanding their traffic safety camera network, not Flock, by the way, and has raised maximum fines for violations, part of a broader effort to take more of your money. I mean, to reduce traffic fatalities while collecting blood money, I guess. The maximum penalty for a citation is now $145. That's up from $124. They have 14 cameras, 9 monitoring red lights, 4 in school zones, and 1 targeting speeding violations, which is interesting because wouldn't you argue that that's, speeding is one of the leading causes of traffic fatalities when you get into an accident? You're not going 5 miles an hour, you're going 50 miles an hour over. Okay. But they only have 1. It's odd. Because they say this is all about, safety. They got people like William, a Tacoma resident with a hot take. People should slow down.
Occasionally you will see some speeders that go by and hopefully you don't get run over by them. There are times where people ignore the red light and just goes right through it. I think they should add more laws or more other accessories to be able to stop the people from running the red lights or making them think twice. Let them know that they have more eyes in the sky.
Okay. He seems okay with it. Sarah Rumbaugh, council member, also spoke with King 5.
We know that 99% of people are driving safely, and it's that 1% we're trying to catch because we don't want to see fatalities. I think we should do anything we can to try to get people to slow down.
Anything we can? Anything?
There's no cost too high.
But you have to raise your fist in the air, like a revolutionary almost. Or that you're screaming at the sky. No tactic is too strong.
Also, she's definitely wrong about 99% of people driving safely. No, there's a lot of bad drivers out there.
Yeah, I mean, why? If it was 99% of people driving safely, you wouldn't be having this conversation at all. Right? It's just like, most people drive. No, most people are awful. Most people are awful. But I would argue part of the reason why things are as bad as they can be is really bad management of our roads and our infrastructure. And I mean that in the context of the design, from how long lights are and how they're not properly coordinating with the traffic, not specifically Tacoma, just in general. There have been times where, and we all know one spot on a commute that you take or a drive you normally wait. It's like, oh, if I get hit on this red light, I'm going to be here forever. There's just, there's no reason for it to be like this. And you find, that's the kind of thing that people will try to speed to get past a red light or before it turns red. That's usually what happens. It's because, God, I've been stuck in traffic so long. I'm getting desperate. I'm going to hit the gas just a little bit to make it before it turns red. I know you're not supposed to do that, and you shouldn't, but that's the reason why. But yes, there are also some really bad drivers. That's also true. Part of it is because there aren't that many like locals driving in the context of how many people are on the road versus implants. There are a lot of implants who come here usually for tech jobs, right? Especially in the area we don't talk about during this segment. But they bring with them their own driving habits, and a driver who's, say, from California is going to be more aggressive than a local driver. A driver from, New York will just be screaming F-bombs out the window and flipping you off while driving really aggressively, cutting everyone off. Everyone has slightly different, and we're, Washingtonians are quite passive. And even Eastern versus Western Washington traffic habits are very different. All of that on the road at the same time is why at least there's the perception of bad driving. While I would agree that drivers here are not particularly good, especially in rain for some reason. I can't figure that
it's always
part
like, they're like, what's this falling from the sky?
What is happening? This is, oh my God, I've never seen this before. People are bad drivers in the context of how other people are driving, right? It's not always you could look at one driver and say, well, that's bad. It's bad because of the context of how everybody else is driving. And when you have a bunch of people with different habits driving in different ways, if they all were to adopt one kind of driving technique or style or personality, they might still not be great, but it would seem better than it actually is. That's all I mean. Do you track that? You track it?
I track it.
Do you?
Yeah.
You seem confused.
No, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm laying down? There's a push for property tax reform targeting empty parking lots and vacant land in Spokane. City leaders, according to SeattleRed.com, are exploring a land value tax system that would shift the tax burden away from buildings and high-rises and place it instead onto the land itself. Advocates argue that the current system essentially punishes developers for improving their property while rewarding those who leave the land empty. That's fair. By changing the rules, officials hope to unlock the potential of underused urban spaces to help solve the region's growing housing crisis. My experience has been anyone from either party that's trying to address a quote-unquote housing issue with a new tax, they're always on the wrong side, and it never works. Could you think of anything that has been successful when it comes to, again, specifically trying to help housing with a new tax? Any kind of tax or fee. Have we ever looked at that and said, actually, that's a really good idea, and it created more housing?
No.
Never.
Generally, making things more expensive isn't going to increase supply. So.
What? So odd how that works. They say property taxes are mostly based on the value of the buildings on a plot of land. If a developer builds a 10-story apartment building, well, their taxes go up. The owner of a neighboring parking lot pays very little, even though the value of their land keeps going up because of the new building next door. Kitty Klitsky, Spokane City Councilwoman, and other supporters worry that the system encourages land speculation, where owners sit on empty lots for years waiting for the neighborhood to get more expensive so they can sell for a massive profit. Yeah, God forbid we let people, do what they want with their own land. This seems like a money grab. Are we allowed to say that in Washington?
The government would never do that.
I know. I did think long and hard before I took that position, because it's so unlike particularly Democrat-run cities to try to take more money from people.
They're very magnanimous.
Mm-hmm. Usually they're like, hey, look, it's got to be a really big problem for us to tax more often and make the bureaucracy larger. We can't just dive into this head first. We should maybe dip our toes after studying what a potential tax would mean for our region for the next 3 years. Just let's do a study first. Let's study the study of the study first before they So I'm going to be honest, I struggled with whether or not I even wanted to criticize this because of how I think conservative even the liberals are in introducing new taxes. But here I am with my hot take. Here I am. Every single Thursday, we post a video on our social media channels. Brought to you by Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. It's only available online. We don't do it on the show. This time taking you through the absurdity of our Washington ferry system. It's the worst. I explain why. Just head on over to our social media channels. Brought to you by Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When we come back, You pick the news. Story number 1. A doctor reveals the healthier choice between red wine and white wine. And I'll tell you why both are not healthy, which is stupid for them to even pretend that they're healthy. Or story number 2, why 20-somethings are trading their vapes for cigarettes, because they're idiots. Again, both are very unhealthy, and they should be dropping both of them. So which one do you want me to yell about when we come back? You decide the story we discuss when we come back. 1-800-465-8770. Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz here. I am all about supporting the Sunset Auto family because they're all about supporting all of us. They are fiercely loyal to Seattle Red. They're fiercely loyal to their customers. They don't have to give you, on every single qualifying new and used vehicle, oil changes for life. They don't have to do that, especially when you consider how expensive they are. I mean, depending on your make and model, it can be, what, $150, $200 a piece. You get up to 5 a year. This is going to save you thousands of dollars over the lifetime of your vehicle. You're probably saying, well, why would they do that? That's stupid. No, they don't see it as stupid. They see it as being a good business partner, making you a part of their family. It's a Sunset Auto family. They're about family. They want to protect their customers from having their warranties voided. When you're ready to trade in that car or truck, they're going to know it's in tip-top shape, and you're going to get pricing that reflects that. Remember, it's not just what you pay, it's what you get. And you just get more at Sunset. And people do like that. SunsetAutoFamily.com.
Woodworker, check. Metalworker or material handler, check. Equipment Sales and Surplus in Auburn offers competitive pricing on leading brands like Jet, Powermatic, Wilton, Bailey, and others. Whether you're a hobbyist or a fabrication shop needing metal forming machines, they have hundreds of machines and accessories. The only dealer offering scratch and dent and discounted items. Check them out in Auburn. EquipmentSalesandSurplus.com. Your go-to for woodworking, metalworking, or material handling. That's EquipmentSalesandSurplus.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Feeling the chill this winter? Lake Atitlan Insulation helps Puget Sound homeowners stay warmer, lower energy bills, and enjoy lasting comfort every day. With expert insulation, you'll lock in heat and stop wasting money. And right now, generous Puget Sound energy rebates make upgrades more affordable than ever. So don't spend another cold season overpaying. Local, trusted, efficient. Schedule your free estimate today at lakeatitlaninsulation.com or call 206-660-4624. Lake Atitlan Insulation, where warmth meets wisdom.
You pick the topic on the Jason Rantz Show.
Indeed you do. And you decided to let me yell about stupid people who decide to smoke cigarettes instead of vape. Both are not good for you. And so as they try to figure out over at the Wall Street Journal why younger people are switching back to cigarettes when they went from cigarettes to vapes, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's still bad for you. Now, it's bad for you for different reasons, and I think if you were to go head-to-head, vaping is somewhat less awful for you as cigarettes, but still really bad. So I'm not entirely sure it even matters when the response generally should be, do neither. Quit both. Do whatever needs to be done in order for you to quit. Now, just going over this Wall Street Journal article, the reporter on this, or the author of this, says it's somewhat surprising that you've seen a resurgence of cigarette smoking among young people, 20-somethings for the most part. And they say that while overall nicotine use has declined, which is ironic because the nicotine is the least harmful of this. In fact, nicotine is relatively good for you if you have low-dose nicotine and you take pharmaceutical grade. They say cigarettes have regained cultural cachet in certain circles. Vaping has fallen out of fashion, mostly because people look like, I can't use that word on the, starts with a D. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you look like when you've got that weird mechanical device, and then you exhale this massive plume of smoke that smells of strawberries.
It's very obnoxious.
I hate it. They say many young people now view it as uncool, instead turning to cigarettes for their ritual, aesthetic, and social appeal. Anxiety, pandemic-era habits, earlier exposure to nicotine through vaping might, they argue in this piece, contributed to that shift. They say smoking is now seen as vintage, which is cool, sensual, which is weird, but anti-digital, which is kind of interesting to me. It's like they put down the Kindle and read a real book. That's what they're saying here. They're embracing this. They say pop culture and social media continue to glamorize cigarettes, reinforcing their allure. That's not true. That is not true. Pop culture and social media glamorize cigarettes? What pop culture? What social media? Cigarettes? When was the last time you even, I guess you're seeing more of it in TV and movies, but they're not glamorizing it. They're just doing it. Is it that they're doing it, glamorizing it?
I don't think it's been glamorized since James Dean was in.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. The author connects the trend to broader generational stress and existential dread, suggesting that in uncertain times, cigarettes represent a form of stylish nihilism or adoration of the present. Okay. I don't know what to do with that. It's interesting because in the biohacking world or the longevity world, there's a lot of, and I don't do this often, but I have nicotine pouches, or what are the, it's right, it's the, you put under your
yeah,
lip. It's a pouch I get from a certain company because they don't use any microplastics, and it's a pharmaceutical style dose. It's very low dose, and it's a longevity supplement, and it comes with all sorts of benefits. I'm not giving you advice, talk to your doctor, blah, blah, blah. But there is a place, I think, for nicotine for adults. Again, low dose, not high dose, not cigarettes, not getting it from a device. Gum or a patch is just as good, and it clears brain fog. It helps with energy levels and attention. It can curb appetite. And I will occasionally take it if I'm feeling a little bit tired because maybe I didn't get as good enough sleep or didn't get as long enough sleep as I need, or it was, I'm writing all day and I got to do a show. I will occasionally take I think it's 5 milligrams or 0.5. I don't even, it's the lowest dose, might even be 2.5 from, I think it's called Lucy nicotine. And I don't like the flavor. I don't like the tingling that you get in the back of your throat. Have you ever had a nicotine?
I've never tried them, no.
Let me give you one because it's legal and I can't. How old are you?
30.
Okay, don't give it to Duncan because
Okay.
he's an 11-year-old. I'll give you one and you can do it. For 5 minutes. I only need usually just like 5 minutes. I know you're supposed to keep it on there for like 30 minutes. No, that's too much for me. My system is so sensitive. So sensitive. Meanwhile, I think I'm one of the few people, this is how insufferable I've become. I get excited about new supplements that I'm taking. And I just got new supplements delivered. I just got an alert on my phone that says my I think it's soil and something. It's, what's his name? Dr. Paul
Saladino.
Thank you, Dr. Look at you learning these names. Dr. Paul Saladino's brand. He has a new colostrum in a pill form, which normally I wouldn't want to take any more pills because this is like 6-dose pill for one serving of the colostrum. But colostrum is a powder. It doesn't mix well at all. Like it's really bad. And you can't put it in hot liquid, which is the only thing I would want to mix it in because it's you know what colostrum is?
No.
So colostrum, the best way to talk about it is it's like the first part, the top part of milk. So when, fresh milk, the most densely, nutrient dense part of it is the colostrum. And so obviously you dry it, it becomes in powder form. So you can't just put that in water. And I have a colostrum that's super expensive and it's flavored and you're supposed to just mix it in water and it gives you almost like a lemonade or something. Except it doesn't mix. It just gets all clumped up. So now I'm forced to take it as pills. Now I got to add 6 more pills to my number. You know what my official number of pills a day is? Supplements a day?
12.
12 supplements a day?
I don't know.
You think I take 12 supplements a day? I would kill to take 12 supplements a day. My first AM dose of pills is more than 12. I'm now at 81.
Oh my God. I knew you had that, and I didn't know you took it daily, though.
Yeah, daily. Well, almost daily. There's some that I take 5 days a week. I cycle through. Like Tongkat Ali. I cycle through. 5 days on, 2 days off. It's the Jason Rantz Show.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Selling hundreds of homes around the Sound for over 25 years has taught me presentation is everything. And with my luxurious marketing, you'll attract tons of buyers, sell fast at top dollar, and net more money. Because Upgrade Realty will save you thousands in fees for only 1% listing commission. To learn more, visit upgraderealty.com. Upgrade your listing for 1%. Upgraderealty.com.
Be a part of all the excitement at Beasley Coliseum this year. Come cheer on the Washington State Cougars men's and women's basketball teams as they host the likes of Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and Oregon State in conference play this season. Don't miss out on all the action. Grab your tickets to upcoming WSU basketball games today at WSUCougars.com/Tix. Again, that's WSUCougars.com/TIX. See you at Beasley Coliseum. Go Cougs!
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. Last year, the big news, obviously, was the accomplishment of the big, beautiful bill, but that also comes with some big, beautiful changes to the IRS.
There are some big, beautiful changes going on, and so many of those changes in the big, beautiful bill impact 2025. What I see is there are going to be a lot of taxpayers when they prepare their tax returns. They're going to see their taxes go down. And it will provide the opportunity for taxpayers to save more money in the ways of higher standard deduction, itemized deductions. There used to be this $10,000 limit of deducting taxes. And most people, especially in our area, between property taxes, sales tax, it's going to be a lot more than $10,000. So that's going to be really helpful. There's definitely some big spiffs in there for the ordinary working person. One thing that I'm really disappointed in is the The way that things have been communicated in regards to the Social Security, it is still going to be taxed. It's not like it's not going to be taxed. Part of it may be not taxed, but it's not this global thing. Oh, yeah, your Social Security isn't going to be taxed. Well, no, that's a partial truism. As with any politician, it's like they don't quite give you the full story.
Yeah, and unless you're paying attention to the code and how it's actually working, you don't know.
You don't know. You just go, oh, man, my Social Security, none of it's going to be taxed. And then when you go to prepare your tax return, you're going to go, oh, wait a minute, some of it's still going to be taxed. But it will be, for most people, a reduction in the amount of tax.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967. Or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Seattle Red on 770 KTTH Seattle, 97.3 KIRO FM, HD3 Tacoma Seattle, 94.5 K233 DT Eastlake, 33 BU Seattle.
Another shooting involving federal agents. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Police in Portland, Oregon say 2 people were wounded.
Portland police said a man and a woman were found with gunshot wounds and that federal agents were involved in the incident. FBI Portland confirmed those agents as Customs and Border Protection. Police Chief Bob Day said the incident is being investigated in the midst of, in his words, heightened emotion and tension as a result of the recent deadly shooting in Minneapolis. Chief Day added the scene is secured, but has urged the community to remain calm. The 2 people shot were taken to a hospital. They were not immediately identified, nor were their conditions officially released.
Fox's Gernal Scott. The FBI Portland X account has since taken down the post identifying the agents as CBP. Oregon Democratic Senator Ron Wyden posted on X that he's monitoring the reports of the shooting, writing that he will keep constituents updated, but said President Trump's deployment of federal agents in his hometown is clearly inflaming violence and must end. Homeland Security issuing a statement a short time ago saying agents were conducting a targeted vehicle stop in Portland, Oregon. The passenger of the vehicle and target is a Venezuelan illegal alien affiliated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and involved in a recent shooting in Portland. And the agent fired a shot when the driver weaponized the vehicle. Fox's Garrett Tenney is in Minneapolis. He said hundreds of people are demonstrating at federal buildings after an immigration officer shot and killed a woman in her SUV yesterday during a confrontation.
We have seen more than a dozen people arrested here today, several for throwing bottles at Border Patrol. Agents have had to use tear gas and pepper balls to break up the crowd a few times.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz demanding local authorities be involved in the investigation of the shooting. America's listening to Fox News.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Coach! The yellow light! God, I'm walking here!
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jason Rantz Show. We're here live on Seattle Red, 770 AM. We are streaming live on the Seattle Red app online at seattlered.com. We've got an exclusive story at 5:30, an exclusive guest. Someone, if you're a fan of the show, been on, listening to our show for a while, will know Joseph St. Clair. He is an American citizen, a veteran, who was taken political prisoner in Venezuela. He has some thoughts on how leftists have taken to the streets to defend and demand the release of Nicolas Maduro. He's going to stop by at 5:30. You're not going to want to miss this. But first, A shooting in Portland has upset some Democrats because of the shooters, not because of the targets. That's what's trending.
What's trending? Happening now.
We can tell you that we have some more details on a story we first brought you last hour. U.S. Border Patrol agents ended up shooting 2 people. Both are in stable condition. It happened in Portland during 2 things that were happening. There was some protests going on, protesting the shooting in Minneapolis, and there was a council meeting happening as well, where I think they were even talking about this issue. Councilmember Ilana Purdy Guini addressed this during the meeting.
Just a day after the shooting in Minneapolis of Renee Good, there was a shooting involving 2 Portlanders in East Portland with federal agents. We are still waiting for more details.
But you are outraged without having any details really at this point. So,
But needed to pull counselors to get a briefing and an update so that we could ensure that we were prepared to respond.
We have to. This is a tough day. Our Portland neighbors, our friends, our Tren de Agua prostitution ring leaders were shot today. It turns out that's what happened, according to Homeland Security, who just minutes ago posted at 2:19, U.S. Border Patrol agents were conducting a targeted vehicle stop in Portland. The passenger of the vehicle and a target is a Venezuelan illegal alien affiliated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and involved in a recent shooting in Portland. The vehicle driver is believed to be a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. When agents identified themselves to the vehicle occupants, the driver weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. That's called a totally legitimate strategy by the left. Why didn't you just get out of the way? Fearing for his life and safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. The driver drove off with the passenger fleeing the scene. Situation is evolving and more information is forthcoming. Now, this is what we have so far. Maybe that gets updated with some more information soon. If that happens, we'll deliver it to you. But we're being told that this was just some random shooting, it seems like. CBP, ICE, federal law enforcement, they're just going around shooting people willy-nilly, which is why you've got people who are taking to the streets. Now, they'll take to the streets, I'm sure, probably are right now, but later tonight, once this story starts to spread even more in Portland. But they were already out on the streets because an ICE agent shot and killed a woman who appeared to be trying to murder him with her vehicle.
We have been demanding that City Council and the mayor take steps to shut down the Portland ICE facility for months now, since June. And things have really come to a head now when a woman was murdered just a day ago, in Minneapolis.
By the way, if you're going to use her for political gain, and by the way, she would be happy, I think, based on her history, to be used as a political prop, learn her name at least. They don't even know her name, the woman that they're using for political gain.
So we're here today to demand that they take immediate action, because what we saw yesterday is that their inaction can actually cost a life.
Yeah. Talking to KGW. I think we should just give in and do what these lunatics want, honestly. I mean, because they've shown such great restraint. They haven't rioted in at least 24 hours. That's good for them. Really good for them. Raise your hand at home if you're upset that ICE is targeting or CBP is targeting Tren de Aragua members. I don't see a single hand raised. I can't even sense a hand that's raised. None of these federal law enforcement officers, like any local police or state police, none of them want to use force. They don't. They don't want to live with everything that comes with that, including some small things like just the paperwork. But also if they were to have to shoot and kill someone, they don't want to have to deal with that emotionally. That's a lot to take in, even when they're 100% in the right. They don't wish to do this every single day. But I do think there are a lot of activists who wish to harm ICE and CBP and other law enforcement officers every single day. That's why they call them the Gestapo or Nazis. That's why they say they're murderers. That's why left-wing politicians like Pramila Jayapal and others say that they're kidnapping people. They're disappearing people off of our streets. And I was watching an interview today, or listening, Congressman Seth Moulton from Massachusetts. He went on with Will Cain. And Moulton is so smug. He was there, and despite the video of the shooting yesterday being played almost on a loop on Fox News, he goes, play the video. You're not playing the video because you know what it shows. It shows a murder. Play the video. That's why you're not playing the video. Like, they played the video on that show before Moulton came on. They're now at the point where they're telling you to look at the evidence that clears the ICE agent and then saying it doesn't clear the ICE agent.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
It is remarkable, and it feels like we're in a twilight zone. It really does. The video is clear as day. We can see the ICE agent getting hit by the vehicle and almost going onto the hood of the car as it's driving off. One angle shows that. But I think, what was it, Pramila Jayapal said he wasn't even hurt. Which she says, by the way, in disappointment. She's mad that he wasn't hurt. And by the way, he was hurt. I'm looking at photos of him right now in his hospital room. He wasn't seriously injured, thank God. And by the way, this is a guy who knows a thing or two about being put on the line, putting himself on the line in service of his community. Back in June, he was dragged by a child sexual predator trying to avoid arrest, trying to evade authorities. At the time, he suffered severe injuries and required 33 stitches. So I'm guessing what went through his head as a car was barreling towards him in the split second that he had to respond, I don't want to get killed this time. I want to be able to go home to my family. I don't want to be killed by the lunatic who's driving a car at me. This is absurd. And this is why you saw in such spectacular fashion today this White House saying pretty clearly they're standing with this ICE agent. And he was pretty ticked off. J.D. Vance earlier today, he spoke at the White House press hearing or press briefing. I don't know if he was scheduled to speak here because of this or he was pre-scheduled, but he went out this morning and he let the press know his thoughts.
When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you.
They're not. That's the sad part. They're not. And what he's referring to, by the way, is a news story, not opinion piece. There are lots of crazy people with crazy opinions. I'll be debating more of them on CNN next week. And the thing is, I don't have to go into all that much prepared if this is the topic, because I know exactly what they're going to say. These are the people who are upset. Again, these are people who are upset that a Tren de Aragua prostitution ring member was apparently shot in Portland, according to DHS. That's what they're upset about. They're upset that here in Seattle, we had the arrest of 3 people in a targeted ICE raid in North Seattle. Katie Wilson, the mayor, just released a video. And what you'll notice is she doesn't give you any details at all on who was arrested because she doesn't know. But it doesn't matter. They're just merely our neighbors. Now, if they're rapists who have been twice deported and ordered removed, she treats them exactly the same as if they were your quote-unquote neighbors. By the way, I don't want them as neighbors. A rapist who's been twice removed?
Yesterday, armed ICE agents in an unmarked vehicle detained 3 North Seattle neighbors at Evergreen Washelli Cemetery. I am furious at the federal government's abuse of power. It is unacceptable to kidnap people who are simply going about their lives.
She has no clue who was arrested. She has no idea. She has no information at all. But she is just making it up. She is pretending. And again, you have to suspend all disbelief here, right? That this was not a targeted arrest. This was just completely random. Of all the places to go to get, they went specifically to North Seattle and said, hey, those people are brown-skinned. Let's arrest. She doesn't even know where they're from. She doesn't even know if they're Latino, if they're Venezuelan, if they're Mexican, if they're Spanish. She has no idea. They could be Asian. She has zero clue, which is why she doesn't give any of that information out. If it was like the grandma who's spending her days picking fruit and vegetables for our salads and our smoothies, as the left uses all the time as their examples, if that's who it was, don't you think they would lead with that? Don't you think that that would be a big piece of their talking point? They got the woman who is a single mom of 4 who's just struggling to get by, our neighbor. She deserves our respect and our support. But instead, she was kidnapped. Our North Seattle neighbors. She has none of that information, and she doesn't care. They're all lying to you. All of them. And they're doing it in bad faith. This talking point, this is all in bad faith.
There is no place for this in Seattle.
Yeah, there is. There is a place for this in Seattle, and I want to go after more people who are breaking the law. If you're in this country illegally and you're breaking the law on top of that, 100%, I want every single one of those people to be arrested and deported. Every single one.
This latest abuse comes on the heels of the murder of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis by federal agents. Renee was a poet, a caring neighbor,
and a potential murderer who just tried to run over someone. That's what it looked like in the video.
And a mother. Someone with a family whose community is now grieving unimaginable loss.
Yeah, if it were up to her, the family that would be grieving the loss would be the family of the ICE agent. Who, again, according to the left, should have just put his hands up and just gotten run over.
These are not abstractions. These are real people, real families, and real harm. I know many people in our community are frightened and outraged about—
No one is frightened, and people are feigning outrage.
—about the way ICE and other federal enforcement agencies are being deliberately deployed across the country.
Yeah, well, that part's true. They are being deliberately deployed to go after bad guys because you won't. Because you are sanctuary cities that act as a magnet to these people. Ugh, I can't finish. I'm not doing it. Is that okay?
Yeah. I think we've had our fill of the left wing.
It's too much. It's too much. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Back the blue.
Okay. This is somewhat amusing. Last hour we were talking about how Keith Swank, according to the Tacoma News Tribune, might be tweeting too much. one of his tweets caught my attention, and then Marysville PD got involved. They are taking advantage of the news from earlier this week that Seattle is moving back to essentially not enforcing drug laws. And so after the news broke, Keith Swank went on to X and said, "Hey, Seattle officers, Pierce County Sheriff's Office has a home for you. Here, you are encouraged to commit law enforcement. The citizens of Pierce County love you, and I got your back. Come join our family." So he's trying to leverage all of this by using it as a recruitment tool. But it's not just him, because guess which account responded to Keith Swank? Marysville PD. They responded, "We're going to jump in here and echo the arms wide open sentiment. We brought on at least 8 highly trained and experienced former SPD officers and would love more. We were one of the first cities to enact a municipal code post-Blake," that's the drug legalization, "and have our own jail." And this is thanks in large part to Mayor John Naring. They also have a great police chief there. And then Swank responded, "Quit trying to steal SPD from us." That's kind of funny. They should absolutely do this. And that's the thing. Cops aren't just staying in SPD because they like the money, they like the contract, and they've got a good contract now. But that's not why they're here. People don't become cops for the money. If they are, they sorely mistaken about their future financial gain. They want to be cops. They want to serve their communities. And when you tell them that they're not going to be able to serve their communities and go after bad guys and help save lives, even if you're paying them a ton, yeah, maybe that holds them over for a bit, but then they start to lose interest in that particular job. And then they say, you know what, this is not what I signed up for. It's not what I signed up for. And, you know, the reverse is true. When you have a lot of cops who go into smaller city departments, let's say the Medina PD, not a ton of crime there that they're handling, not a lot at all. And they want to give back, and they join Medina for all sorts of reasons. Maybe it was easier for them to get that particular position at that time based on the amount of openings versus a more competitive agency. And they're very good at what they're doing, but then they get bored. They're like, yeah, I can only drive by Bill Gates' house so often to make sure that there's no one trying to break in. And there's no one ever trying to break in. He's got private security. I want to join a quote-unquote real force. Now, it's, of course, a real force, but they want to actually do something. And so whether it's not doing anything because the council or mayor's office doesn't want them to, or not doing anything because there's just not a real big crime problem, they end up getting another job. And I do think that if what we learned this week is going to be the new direction for the Seattle Police Department, this is not going to end well at all. Like at all for the Seattle Police Department. The average used vehicle financing rate is 11.87%, which is insane to me. So the Sunset Auto family is offering what might be the best used vehicle financing deal out there. Less than half the average rate and no payments for 90 days on all qualifying vehicles, 2015 and newer. You just get more at Sunset, and people do like that. When we come back, we've got an exclusive interview, two-parter. Joseph St. Clair is a rescued political prisoner from Venezuela. He knows a thing or two about the Maduro regime, and he'll explain when we come back. Our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn, understands the pressure that comes from owing money to the IRS. Don't let that build. Call Nunn Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. Google NUNN, Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know you can't cook. You're not one of those people who say that they can, but when people come over for dinner, they find out the hard way, you can't. You can't even microwave popcorn, and that's literally just one button. Plus, measuring and patience are huge parts of cooking, and that's just not you. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Pricing coverage match limited by state law.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Thanks for calling CM Heating. How can I help?
Yeah, hi. Aren't you the company that gives away free furnaces?
Yep, that's us. Buy a qualifying high-efficiency cooling system and the furnace is absolutely free.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and our home comfort advisors are tax credit and rebate specialists, so we'll help you save the most and even handle the rebate process start to finish.
Amazing, but what if I just need a furnace?
All good. Furnaces start at just $69.99 a month. And don't forget to ask about our clean air upgrades, because with all the smoke from wildfires, these systems filter out pollen, dust, and harmful particles, keeping the air in your home clean and healthy all year long.
Sweet.
Go to CM Heating for better comfort, lower bills, a free furnace you'll love for years, and cleaner air for your home. Get your free estimate for furnace replacement at cmheating.com. And remember, for furnaces, fireplaces, hot water, total home comfort, and electrical service,
there's no beating CM Heating.
More than 4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients, and you can help us make a difference. Join us for Cork, Fork, and Support, an afternoon of wine tasting and inspiration on January 31st at Mary Hill Winery in Woodinville's Wine Country. Get your tickets now for Cork, Fork, and Support. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
I am glad that we have our man in Seattle, Jason Rantz.
Jason Rantz on Fox News.
To keep us posted on how Mayor Katie Wilson does with her new agenda.
I mean, it's not shocking to me. I knew from the beginning that she was likely going to win. But what's so shocking in this case is this is basically her first real job, and this is a big job to be your first.
Bookmark SeattleRed.com now for exclusive content and the Jason Rantz Show every afternoon from 3 to 7 on Seattle Red and the Seattle Red app.
Joseph St. Clair, we brought you his story before. He found himself in a very rare situation where he was actually being held as a political prisoner in Venezuela. We've heard a lot of folks talk about what it was like to have to flee Venezuela as a Venezuelan. But what about the perspective of an American, a military veteran of 9 years, who unfortunately had to live through that kind of hell? He joins us now. Joseph St. Clair, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. It's great to meet you. Great to talk to you. I really want to say thank you and express my full gratitude to you and your team. You guys were, I said this to Grant Stitchfield, but my dad corrected me. You guys were the actual first group of people to hear his story and then advocate for me. And if that had not happened, I would not have gotten out when I had gotten out. I probably would still be there today. So my freedom, honestly, praise God. And I thank God every day for that. But it wouldn't have happened without, people like you on the ground fighting and advocating for me. So immense gratitude.
Thank you. I'm taking full credit. We're the only reason any of this happened. Obviously, Rick Grinnell was the key person here with the administration who was working really hard behind the scenes. If you can, for folks who don't remember, when we first originally spoke to your father several months ago, you were actually living and kind of working in Colombia. It sounds like you got a little bit too close to the Venezuelan border. Perhaps you went over mistakenly. You ended up getting caught. So take us through what happened.
Yeah, from my knowledge, I don't think I crossed the border. I'm sure I didn't, because since I've gotten out, I've heard and seen reports, and the State Department told me, yeah, this is a known thing. They cross over their border. And, I was living and traveling in Colombia, and I was dating a Colombian Venezuelan who had family on both sides of the border. So we had been staying in Barranquilla, and then as we got closer to the border, it's very, very normal and regular there that when Americans there, even Colombian officials will target you and attempt to get bribes and money. So on the offset, we were approached by a group of guys. My Spanish was strong. My Spanish was not Venezuelan dialectical Spanish strong, but they approached us. They were looking for some sort of bribe or to rob us. But it escalated very quickly. It went from, okay, where's your cash, to open your bag. They're taking my things. And then they had me open my cell phone. And as they went through my cell phone, they saw a picture of me from 10 years ago. And that it's kind of funny because that was one of the photos to kind of garner some support for me. But I look like I was 12 years old in an Air Force uniform. But they found that because it's on my Facebook. And they're like, oh, so you're a military member. Okay, we know what we're going to do with you. From there, they took me from that city across the border and they handed me over to uniformed Venezuelan officials. And then from there, I was hogtied with my ex, and we were driven 12 hours to Caracas. But while I was there, I was able to talk to several European Americans. And I suppose what happened is Maduro, when he stole his election in July of 2024, he began a very, very wide campaign of grabbing anybody he could who was American, European. There's actually Russians there as well. But he was kidnapping people off of yachts. He was kidnapping people off of surfboards in Colombian water. One American guy had been there prior to the election. He scheduled a visa appointment at the border, and it was shortly after the election. And they were like, yeah, come back. We'll help you with your visa. He came back. He gave him his paperwork, and they said, stay right here. And they slowly tiptoed him into being kidnapped, because at first he was interacting with, official Venezuelan officials, or those who are representing under the color of Venezuela. But after a certain point, they hand you off to DGCIM, and that's more of their paramilitary, proxy forces. And these are the guys that were going into international waters. These are the guys that are involved in the drug trade. And even up to their level commander, the guy who got fired yesterday by the acting president, Delsky, he actually was with me as I was getting rescued. He sat on the tarmac with me for 12 hours, and he acted like a gangster thug. I'm not going to use any of the language he had, but it was clear to me that I'm dealing with people that are not well trained, obviously very, very brutal, and don't have any respect for their own people. That was also high in my list of considerations, that I'm traveling with a Venezuelan. And that was one of the pressure points they used against me. It was like, if you don't cooperate, what do you think is going to happen? So, yeah, very surreal experience.
When they say if you didn't cooperate, what do they mean by that? What was cooperation to them?
Well, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on the radio, but am I allowed to say like 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, that sort of thing? They say, if you don't put these handcuffs on, if you don't open your bag. At times they had us kiss in front of them. But it was, they was slow. A lot of what called torture at first was them doing things like putting me in handcuffs, interlacing us, and then just leaving us there for 12 hours. So after a certain point, I realized whenever they asked me to put those handcuffs on, they're going to treat me like an object. And for as much as they hated, me just for being American, and there was a lot of vitriol for me being an American. On one hand, it was, they hated me, but on the other hand, they also respected my life to a certain level because they knew I was of value. So whenever anyone would try to go over, they would go over the line, but when they went over the line and got physical or highly abusive or did things like denied me food because I wouldn't sign something, then that was when I stopped cooperating. And I just would say, look, listen, if I don't survive and you do something to escalate this situation, and this gets back to your president or your government that, your American trophy, something's happened to him, they're going to look and they're going to say, all you had to do was babysit this guy and make sure he's fed and didn't die. And I would remind them of this. So that was a good form of psychological warfare, because they were using psychological warfare against me constantly. So
where were they holding you?
The first location was at the DGCIM, which for those of you guys who don't know, DGCIM is what you call their CIA, their NSA, but it's not like these guys are, they have the permissions. They don't have the training or capability to really do anything. But I was at their headquarters, which was, I guess, an old mall and parking garage at one point 40 years ago, to give you an idea of their infrastructure. But they put me like 3 or 4 stories deep in this infamous cell number 6, which is where they stuck the foreigners. And they put me down there for 3 weeks. And when I was there at first, I had no socks, first of all I had was a pair of shorts and my shirt. And at times it was so cold I could see my breath. Yeah, there was just a small slit in the wall, but I was in solitary confinement there for 3 weeks with this. They're talking about what people are doing to those in El Salvador. They think that's bad conditions. I'm like, those guys are getting phone calls. The fact that those guys, what happens in secret is so much more worse than what could be investigated. And they also gave me a false name. I was there under the name John Piamon for these, actually first 3 months. Even to get myself a blanket, I had to start climbing up the wall and trying to attack their camera. And then they would send in guards to come try to fight me, like wrestle me down and be like, what the hell are you doing? And each time this would happen, I'd be like, give me a blanket or my life. And even the blanket they brought me was about maybe from my chest down to my knees. Those first 3 weeks were the hardest by far because I had no outside contact and it was just extremely cold. And they fed me 3 times a day, but the meals were an arepa about that big, a scoop of sliced hot dogs, and like a pinch of shredded cheese. So they can't even feed their soldiers. So the expectation for them to feed prisoners is not there.
Did you know what they wanted initially, like what the goal of this was, political prisoner versus something, potentially even worse?
Well, on the border, I thought I was, I'm not somebody that's not completely street smart, right? I'm not somebody that would normally find myself in this situation. And when it started happening, had I been alone, I would have gotten out of there immediately. But, the person I was traveling with was not reacting the same way I was, and I was not going to abandon them. Yeah. But at first, it just looked like, hey, they're trying to get money off of me or ransom me. But when I was there for those 3 weeks, I had no conception of what was happening. They certainly made a lot of accusations. You're still in the military, things. And when I got out, I saw that they had falsely said I was in Caracas taking pictures. It's true. But the first 3 weeks, I had no idea what they wanted. And I had no information for them because I was military for so many years. I'd gone to law school, and then I'd been living and traveling in Latin America for 2 years. So at the end of the 3rd week, I told them, hey, want to know, even if this is information, I'll tell you. And they put me in a cell, and I got back to that cell. If I'm going to die on my feet, they put like 8 points of chains on me, put the bag over my head, marched me in front of they have about 500 Venezuelans in all the floors there, women, children. Just some of those people sit in this freezing cold building for 9 months before they go to their secondary prison. So they sent me to the secondary prison, and this is where I started realizing I'm a hostage because these guys are wearing name tags that aren't their name tags. They have names like Lucifer or Cain or the leader of the Third Reich during World War II. It's right on its nose what they're doing. And they're also wearing masks and, riot gear and threatening us. But when I got to that second location, which was south of Caracas, it's called Rodeo Uno. If anybody wants to Google the photos, it looks abysmal. It is abysmal. Mm-hmm. But that's when I had encountered my first other American who was he was a young, I guess, tech guy who had been living in Colombia too. And he lived in Medellin. He met a girl, married her, and he had his visa approved to go work in Venezuela. This happened to many Europeans too. They had been approved to work for the government. And when they showed up to the airport, they were disappeared, taken to these prisons to be military hostages, or I guess human shield hostages in case of a military action. Because following the stolen election, Venezuela was on high alert. They thought military action was coming as a consequence of what they did. And the prison I was at had been shut down for 12 years prior to this because the conditions were so bad. But Maduro reopened it a few months before the election because this operation was already set and put in place far sooner. And I also, if I had been seeing any of this stuff in the news, like, hey, high alert, people are being kidnapped out of I would not have gone anywhere near it. But I know that even while I was there, the Biden administration only made like 1 or 2 statements about Venezuela. So yeah, I think our own election played a part in the fact that this wasn't already a focal point going into 2025 when Trump was about to take office.
When did you realize that the government knew that you had been kidnapped? Because your family was obviously alarmed when they were texting you, I guess, and they didn't hear back from you within a reasonable amount of time. And eventually, it sounds like a friend was the one who reached out to the U.S. Embassy to say, we haven't been able to reach Joseph, what's going on? Were you aware specifically that the federal government knew that you were gone, or did you find out about everything kind of after they secured your release?
Well, I started putting some pieces together. I knew when the other guys got out that they would report who I was, where I was at, because we had all memorized each other's socials, birthdays, locations of birth. But when I had shown up, they had a lot more information than I had because they'd been there for at least 5 or 6 months, the other Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also prisoners there who were Venezuelans who had been in for 15 years under different and false names. So on one hand, I was afraid that's how things were going, that no one would know. And this was prior to Trump getting office. And at the end of his second week, the first group getting out. One of the other guys that was with me had been mentioned in one of the press releases that the White House under Biden had made. And everything is psychological warfare. They're there just to harass and mess with you, even though they don't have to. They just could leave you alone. But that's not. But they went and they showed him a video of his mom crying, and they went and they showed a video of the White House, press briefing. This is the only time any of us saw any pictures or videos. They would show us something to dishearten us, right? And because of that, I said, okay, so certainly they know he's here. So on some level, even though we're here under false names, there's some level of, and I didn't know if Venezuela or the United States even had any kind of official diplomatic channels. I was like, on some level, there's some communication going on. But I also knew Trump is coming into office January 20th. Biden is a lame duck president at this point. No one's going to negotiate with him. So I got to the secondary prison at the end of December, around December 20th. I don't really know the dates because obviously I couldn't see sunlight at the first prison. I was trying to, cross lines in the walls as I could. But if they saw that, that's one of the reasons they would come in and give me trouble because they want to disorient you as much as possible. I was deathly sick. I could not walk for 11 days. The first 11 days I was at the second prison because of the conditions in the first prison. And at the end of my 11th day, I was taken and up to the top floor of the prison, the only area of the prison where they actually had cameras in the individual cells, because they had sequestered and separated all the other Americans there together because the Americans kept saying, hey, this is not right. We're kidnapped. We're hostage. This is a violation of our rights. And they had actually staged a protest and some of them had broken out of their cells. So I got there and I told them, hey, you guys don't give up hope. But every day was the same thing. It was, we're never getting out of here. We're going to get out of here today. We're never getting out of here. And the negative energy, rather than uniting together, it was kind of like the Americans were going at each other. And I shut up. I was like, look, doing this every day is actually making things worse for us. I was like, we need to just know and realize right now we're not getting out until January 20th. And then probably it's going to take at least a month after that. But on January 31st, the last day that Trump, or the end of Trump's second week in office, that morning, we kind of had the same fight where I was the leader of half the guys, another guy was the leader of half the guys, and it was, Trump's been in office, we're getting out of here. And I said, I think we're getting out of here very, very soon. And that morning, January 31st, me and that guy, we made a bet. I said, I bet you $10,000 someone will get out by the end of February. That afternoon, 4 of our guys got ripped out and they were rescued.
Did you collect the 10 grand?
The money after the fact. And he's one of my best friends to this day. But from there, they took me and the other remaining American and they put us back down with the, Venezuelan population, and the experience there was much worse. But the prison staff went through and they showed us photos and videos like, look, don't end your life because these guys got out. There's a very good chance you'll get out. They're very good too. Their only job at that prison is to keep you alive, but they're so keyed into what you're doing. They have what are called sapogatos, which are narcs essentially. And, you can't really talk to anyone directly, but there's a system of whispering. But the Venezuelans would also report on us as Americans, say, hey, this American said this, this American said this. So, when the other Americans were there, it was a much easier time. And then the last 4 months, I was kind of mixed in with the Venezuelan population. It became much worse. But I also knew those guys got out. I have faith Trump will get me out.
You're listening to the Jason Rantz Show and my interview with Joseph St. Clair, a freed political prisoner who understands firsthand what the Maduro regime was capable of. We'll continue this conversation when we return. And if, by the way, you want to watch this interview in full, no edits, head on over to seattlered.com. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show.
Mitch here at Leathers, Washington's most eclectic home furnishings resource. There's a lot of chaos in the world, so take a break from social media and self-serving politicians. At Leathers in Issaquah, our design professionals will guide you to a happy place by elevating your home environment. More than leather, choose from the latest fabrics and solid wood, something for every room in your home. Our guaranteed low prices, quality, and service will lower your blood pressure and be kind to your wallet. So check the chaos at the door and come experience a Zen moment at Leathers in Issaquah.
Bonneville Seattle and Seattle Red are looking for organizations that regularly distribute information about employment opportunities to job applicants or have job applicants to refer. If your organization would like to receive notifications of job vacancies, please notify Human Resources at 1820 East Lake Avenue East, Seattle, Washington, 98102. Or email us at seattlealljobs@bonneville.com or call 206-726-6902. Bonneville is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. When it comes to protecting what matters the most, you should be trusting the best. The best is Northwest Safe. nwsafe.com. And Northwest Safe is an exclusive Liberty Safe dealer. You get better pricing, exclusive rebates, and you get first dibs on making sure that perfect safe for your home is in stock, ready to go. There are a few options here. You can visit their showroom in Enumclaw. I think you're going to be very impressed when you see the hundreds of safes they have on display. But if you need help choosing, let's say you're on their website, nwsafe.com, and you're like, I think this one would be good for me, but you're not sure. They've got an expert sales team. They'll even do a personal video walkthrough to help you find that perfect fit. And when it's time after the purchase to get it delivered, they don't just drop it off at your front porch and then leave you to figure out what to do. No, they bring it upstairs, downstairs, they bolt it into your basement floor if that's what you want. Protect your firearms, secure your valuables, and do it with white glove delivery and unbeatable service with Northwest Safe, which makes sure Liberty Safe does what it does best, keeping you safe. nwsafe.com.
Every season is a little bit different here in Washington, but I'll tell you what, the amount of rain never seems to change in the winter, and we have sure gotten a ton of it this season. All that rain, all that water, it's all got to go somewhere. And if it makes its way into your crawl space, that's when it can create all sorts of problems, including real structural damage, which could really affect your home. But more importantly, for the health of your family, the water in that crawl space could create toxic mold, and that has serious health repercussions. Thankfully, we have Crawl Pros. They can come in and keep your crawl space dry, install a sump pump and drainage, and reroute that water back out and away from your home. They'll also take care of any mold that may have been created. Don't take the risk. It's too important. The best way to learn if you have any water is to ask Crawl Pros to visit your home and inspect your crawl space for free. Crawl Pros will go where you don't want to. So if you're worried about water damage, mold, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, call Crawl Pros or visit crawlpros.com.
When the rain doesn't stop and the water begins to rise, a home shouldn't be left vulnerable. Heavy storms and flooding can cause lasting damage, but homeowners don't have to face it alone. Lake Atitlan Insulation specializes in water drainage solutions that protect properties and provide peace of mind. Call today before the damage is done. Lake Atitlan Insulation. Local, trusted, efficient. Visit lakeatitlaninsulation.com and schedule your free estimate today. Call 206-660-4624. Lake Atitlan Insulation, where warmth meets wisdom.
Welcome back to the Jason Rantz Show. We continue our conversation, part 2 of our conversation with Joseph St. Clair, a freed political prisoner who served time in various prisons under the Maduro regime. So he's obviously happy to see Maduro gone. If you want to watch the full interview, head on over to seattlered.com. Here is part 2. Well, given how you were treated by the Maduro regime, obviously you're happy that he's been removed from power and will actually suffer some sort of consequence now. But when you see some activists here at home take to the streets with signs that literally say free President Maduro when he's not actually the president, like what goes through your head and what's your message to them?
For one, I feel sadness. I feel pity for them because they're being they're allowing themselves to be utilized as tools for something that I would consider and characterize as unequivocally evil. While I was in the prison, even the guards up to the director, they were afraid to utter his name. They had to just do the curled mustache. So his own soldiers, and actually the soldiers were afraid to say the name of the director. So this is a system of fear and oppression. And if you don't believe me, this is what I've said many times, go get a flight, fly to Colombia, fly to Brazil, go to Guyana and approach the border, and don't even approach the border. Just make it known that you're an American, and perhaps you will experience what I experienced, which is we're not all the same political ideology of those us who are American in Venezuela. Some of us had entered willingly, and one of the guys was a abashed socialist. And he many times said, Venezuela has been wronged, but he's also like, but what they're doing to me, this is insane. He was well-versed on Marxist theory and communism, and he would ask the guards, these are not people who are communists or socialists. They don't understand. All they understand is power and abuse. And if you go and you tell them, I support you, they're going to be like, okay, shake your hand, handcuff you, pepper spray you, and then throw you in a hole for 6 months. So that's my message to those people, is just, I think it comes from a point in position of privilege, right? They've grown up in affluence. Even the poorest in our country have grown up at a level of affluence where they don't understand this is how many people live their lives. And me being a veteran, I knew that to be true in Afghanistan. But even there's a modicum of freedom, right? They had their own violence, but it's not like to the level of what I would consider almost 1984 oppression, where they're trying to not only control everything externally, they're also trying to get in your brain in Venezuela.
Yep.
And I guess it's due to the influence of the Cubans and Russians, because I now hear that of the presidential guard, which some of those members were the members that were directly interacting with us and facilitating our kidnapping, many of those guys were Cuban, and I did not know that. So it was good to learn that on the back end.
So we only have a few moments left. Take us through when you realized you were finally being free due to the work of, again, Rick Grinnell deserves a lot. He's not the only one, but the Trump administration worked really hard to make sure that you were released. How did that all unfold?
Let me just say, first of all, Rick Grinnell, he is a great man. He's a great American. He's a great human being, and he really, really cares about people. Even as I was rescued, it was kind of an impromptu thing, and they didn't use a State Department plane, which the press, when I got out, the press were attacking him for that. I was like, are you serious? We're going to let bureaucracy get in the way of saving my life? But a week before I got rescued, I believe I was supposed to be getting rescued, but Citizen, my last review, I said I was a Nazarene Christian, right? I wouldn't cut my beard or my hair in order to test where their level of respect was. Certainly they don't respect me as a human being, but certainly they still respect God and somebody's connection with God. 6 days before I got out of there, they pulled me in and they forcibly shaved my head and beard to make me, initially they were trying to give me a high and tight to make me look like a soldier. And I said, I didn't want them to cut a hair on my head. 6 days later, they started the process. It was about a 24-hour process to get me out. They took me from the first prison, but they took me back to the original prison. And I know they did this to me intentionally, and made me wait there for a night. But they also had taken me to another airport before that, put me in civilian clothes and fake designer Louis Vuitton clothes. And they were filming me on camera, making me say, and they're like, if you don't say what we want you to say, you're not getting out of here. If you don't sign all these documents, you're not getting out of here. And I was signing some of the documents for dates in the future. So I was thinking, maybe I'm not getting out of here. Maybe they're going to take me to an even higher level prison, or maybe they're going to say I tried to escape and that'll be the end of me. But I really realized I was getting out of there the morning of, because the commander of DGCM came and got me from my cell, and then him with about 12 dudes took me to the Caracas airport. We waited on the tarmac for 4 hours. From there, a presidential private plane of Maduro came with Venezuelan commandos. I was flown to Aruba, and then up to the point that I got out and I shook Rick Grinnell's hand, I was handcuffed and I had a bag over my head this entire time. It was very surreal, but those last hours, I was on cloud nine, because I just knew this is the end of this very, very difficult experience, because the hardest thing there was just not knowing when you're getting out, not knowing what's going to happen. They like to use, again, their networks of feeding information. They would always tell us the United States is about to attack Venezuela. This is what they would do. And one time they even played a radio broadcast where it was salsa music, and then they allowed it to get interrupted to say, "This is President Joe Biden." And I don't know if this was really from him, but all Venezuelan troops, lay down your arms. So up to the moment I got out of there, I didn't trust them, and I wasn't sure I was going home. But honestly, after I got out, the hardest thing was just knowing that there's other people still there, other Europeans that are still there that aren't in the news. One of my friends today, Ernesto Corbe Cardona, he had lost his eyesight in his left eye, and they wouldn't give him medical attention. But I just heard this morning that he got out. So again, I'm very thankful that this operation went down. I typically lean into non-intervention because I'm an Afghan war vet, but I would say that our government certainly has the right to defend its citizens. And I know firsthand that this regime, and specifically Maduro, had declared a soft war against Americans globally across the world. And I hope people listen to that and take that to heart when they're allowing the media and allowing whatever team they support to tell them what to think.
Yeah, there's no doubt that we're all better off, Venezuelans, Americans, and just humans, without Maduro in power. I'm sorry you experienced this. I'm grateful that you were able to not just be released, but be comfortable talking about it and explaining what happened. I think it's a perspective that doesn't get heard very often. And to your point, there are a lot of media outlets that like to amplify certain voices as it relates to Maduro. And your voice seems a little bit more important than some privileged, white lady who wants to pretend that she's fighting for a compassionate world because she's backing socialism. It's kind of sick and twisted. Just before we let you go, very quickly, how are you doing right now?
I'm doing great. There's two types of people in this world. There's those who, regardless how things are, they're going to be miserable. And there's those who are, regardless of how things are, they're going to be good. I'm resilient, and, my connection to God too was one of the things that got me through there. And if anybody, I don't want to make this a religious thing, but I read Luke chapter 21, and in that section of the Bible, it said, some of you will be imprisoned, and just know that not a hair on your head is going to be harmed. So I kind of took that and I ran with it. And I never lost faith in my country, either the United States. I knew, and President Trump as well. I said, this is a guy that's made things happen. He talked to Kim Jong-un. If there's anybody who's going to get us out of here, it's going to be President Trump. So I'm doing well. I'm the biggest struggle is survivor's guilt, but I think that with the way things are going, I'm feeling much, much better. And that's why I'm starting to open up and talk about it at this point.
Joseph St. Clair, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. This is the Jason Rantz Show.
How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I was able to achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. I'm surprised and relieved every time I look in the mirror. You need to know what that feels like. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there is no one I would trust more than Advanced Hair Restoration. I experienced their exceptional standard of care firsthand. Your comfort and your results are the top priority of the entire Advanced Hair team. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 425-449-8185. That's 425-449-8185. Discover what meeting your resolutions could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
Thanks for calling CM Heating.
Aren't you the company that gives away free furnaces?
That's us. Buy a qualifying high-efficiency cooling system and the furnace is free.
Wow.
Yeah, and our home comfort advisors are tax credit and rebate specialists, so they'll handle the rebate for you.
Go to CM Heating for better comfort, lower bills, and a free furnace you'll love for years. Get your free estimate for furnace replacement at cmheating.com. And remember, for furnaces, fireplaces, hot water, and total home comfort, including electrical,
There's no beating CM Heating.
Is it time to get your home sold? Nick Southard with Upgrade Realty here. Put my luxurious marketing to work for you and save thousands in fees for only 1% listing commission. Visit upgraderealty.com. Upgraderealty.com.
Hey, this is Pete from Home Matters. Tune in this weekend when we'll talk with local business owners about everything in and around your home. Join us on Saturdays from 2 to 3 right here on Seattle Red, or listen to the podcast on mynorthwest.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. So there are some folks who probably think that they are in the clear because they haven't been hounded by IRS agents for the last few weeks. But that is a false sense of comfort.
It's a false sense of comfort. And I understand why people feel that way, Jason, because with the IRS shut down, all the revenue agents, the auditors, the revenue officers, the tax collectors, they weren't in their office. And the IRS stopped sending out notices because they knew that, people just couldn't respond to them because there weren't a lot of IRS personnel around. And so you get comfortable, you get complacent. But I tell you, folks, really, if you got an IRS issue, it's better to take care of it now than later. It really is.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967. Or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair